I think it's time for a meeting. Welcome. Can everybody stand up, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. On behalf of the Board of Education, it is so nice to see everyone here this evening. We love it. I think we can all say we love it when we get a crowd. We appreciate the support. It's nice to know that there's such a, this just shows what great community we live in. So tonight, fellow board members, I need someone up here to make an adoption of the agenda. Who would like to do that?
Madam President, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Excellent. Very good. So our agenda this evening has been adopted. At this time, we're going to go right into our superintendent's report. Dr. Carpenter, here you go.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, board members, community members, the superintendent report is here and attached. You'll have in item 1, we're excited to talk about Lee Summit North sophomore Morgan McGurk and being recognized at the 16th Annual Mayor's Character Breakfast. And she received the award relative to responsibility. Her story was featured in the Kansas City Star and the Lee Summit Journal. Thank you, Morgan, for all you do and how you represent our school district. Also, exciting things going on across the district, but I want to bring attention to item 3, and that's Summit Technology Academy students and their teacher, Dr. Paul Rutherford, who's in his last year with us. He took a team of students from the Engineering, Design, and Development course to present at the EDD Design Project, and they attended the award ceremony at Eastern Kansas and Western Missouri chapter of the American Association of Professional Engineers. Summit Technology Academy was the only EDD program represented at the event at the downtown Kansas City Marriott. So we're super excited to bring recognition to Carson Palmer, Elijah Cook, and Brent Holmes, who were able to be a part of that great experience. Let's give them a round of applause. Finally, as it's more so related to adult work in our district and phase 2 of the CFMP, we have put together our action teams to look at the big themes that came out of phase 1 of that work. That is related to our instructional framework, our equity plan development, future-ready school visit teams, middle school design processes, year-round school processes, theme-based schools, and anything we can do to expand our workforce-ready preparation, and of course, early childhood. And also, we're having some internal conversation about ELL placement. So many of you have been assigned to those teams, whether it be community or board members, and I want to take this time to thank you for your service over the course of this second semester. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Carpenter. At this time, we move into the President's remarks, and I always like to have my remarks made by our outstanding staff and Board of Education and everyone that's sitting here with us dais today. So I'm going to start down here to your right, my left. I'd like the staff to introduce themselves, and please state what role you play in the R7 school district.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Del-Sim, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening. I'm David Sharp. I'm Assistant Superintendent for Secondary.
Good evening. Good evening. Katie Collier, Associate Superintendent for Academic Services, and I'd be remiss if I didn't point out Dr. Jennifer Kephart, Assistant Superintendent for Elementary, is not here this evening. She's engaged in some professional learning out of the district.
Excellent.
Ryan Murdoch, I'm one of the board members. I root for Mizzou and against KU.
Hi, I'm Kim Fritchie. I'm another one of the board members.
Bob White, board member.
Down here. Mm-hmm.
Jackie Clark, board vice president and representing.
Dennis Smith, board member.
Julie Doan, board member.
Linda Ismert, assistant to the superintendent and board secretary.
Emily Miller, operational services.
Wesley Metz, CFO and treasurer to the Board of Education.
Joe Hatley, board attorney.
Thank you. And Dr. Carpenter, you want to introduce yourself there?
I think they know.
Okay, I'm Phyllis Belagne, and I have the privilege of serving as the board president for this meeting and one more meeting. But I want to say that this is a group of hardworking people sitting up here, a sampling of what is happening in our district. They do fantastic work, but also seated in the audience, we also have SLC members, we also have teachers, we have bus drivers. Rudy, are you here tonight? Is he here? Oh, man, he's here at every meeting. So I just wanted you to put a name with a voice, and you'll see their names. They're just outstanding people that are sitting up here, and it really is a privilege to sit here with all of them and serve this community and the school district. At this time, we move into one of my favorite parts of the program, and that's our presentations. And so each board meeting, I do like to involve our board members. I do think it's important that you hear from them as well. They're very hardworking, they're active, and they do such great things for the school district. So at this time, and I kind of had to fight her over it because I know some of those girls over there, but Kim Fritchie requested, and I acknowledged her request, she's going to read item 4.01, and this is, I'll let you just state what you're doing.
Okay, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Lee Summit High School Tigerettes dance team. I'm actually a former Tigerette myself. I was the captain in 1966-77. Thanks. So it brings me great pleasure to make this introduction tonight of you ladies and your coaches. Lee Summit High School Tigerette dance team had the most successful year they have had since 1996. The dance team was awarded first place in both their pom and jazz routines at the Casey Classic competition at Liberty High School in December, where they were also awarded the overall top scoring team of the weekend in their division. They next went on to be awarded first place awards in both their pom and jazz routines at the Lee Summit North Invitational in January. The Tigerettes traveled to Orlando, Florida at the end of January to compete in the UDA National Dance Team competition. The Tigerettes were excited to score high enough to recompete both of their routines in the final round, where they were ranked 9th in jazz and 12th in pom in the nation. Building on their success at the national competition, the Tigerettes went on to win first place in both their pom and jazz routines at the state competition held in St. Louis, Missouri. The Tigerettes then went on to be awarded first place trophy for all 5A schools in the state, allowing them to bring a state win back to Lee Summit High School for the first time in 23 years. Okay. Here is a video with Principal John Falkenberry from the event. Is somebody supposed to show a video? Okay.
I don't think they can see it.
All right, well, never mind that. Team members are...
When your name is called, come on out here.
Team members are coaches Jennifer Blankenship and Caitlin Rader.
And
Who?
can I jump in and say, these are homegrown girls right here. Lee Summit girls, danced in Lee Summit, and they're just amazing. So proud of them.
And their sisters.
Yes.
And okay, their senior captain is Cassie Workman. Their junior captain is Sophie Penland. And then, if you'll hold your applause, I'll read all the team members in a row, and then we can give them a big round of applause. Peyton Lee, Igosa Obevwin, Morgan Huser, Casey Moritz, Alyssa Workman, Macy Melton, Bree Magnuson, Claire Franciscato, Leah Finch, Bailey Whitmarsh, Kelsey Ferguson, Delaney Duello, Paige Moreland, Olivia McKee, Tori Garrett, Maddie Carr, Lily Aldendorfer, Bailey Birchfield, Abigail LaFerney, Avery Arn, and Larissa Mickle.
Dr. Falkenberry, you need to be in the picture with the girls. Congratulations, girls. You know, I have to publicly confess that in my eyes, Dr. Falkenberry can do no wrong. I know, Julie begs to differ with me. But I will tell you that knowing that he was down there, surprised the girls, was just incredible. And I saw it on Facebook, and I just went, that's Lee Summit's guy right there. Dr. Falkenberry, thank you for being there and supporting these young athletes and dancers. And also, real quick, parents, if you're a parent of one of these beautiful young ladies and talented young ladies, please stand up. Stop, please stand up. Yay, way to go, parents. Okay, you can leave now. Awesome. You are so welcome. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, parents, for all your support. Hey, Mindy, good job. Yeah. Good job. Okay, that was fun. All right. Next up, I'm going to call on the voice of Mr. Dennis Smith. He's going to talk to us about a school spotlight.
Well, this may get me in trouble at home when it's back when we go to the R7 website and the pictures come out. But my wife, Kim, was the first. They called it drill team in 1968 to start the Lee Summit drill team. There weren't that many girls on that time. Yeah, don't count.
Okay, Dennis.
We're getting ready for our 50-year class reunion. All right. Our next honors are, I'm going to introduce to you Mrs. Stacy James. She's the Woodland Elementary principal and will present for the elementary school spotlight this evening.
Let's give her a warm welcome as she walks to the podium.
Good evening, members of the Lee Summit R7 School Board, and good evening to our guests. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight Woodland Elementary School. I'm very excited tonight, and we do have the dance theme continuing this evening. I know. There are many things about Woodland Elementary School that I am proud of, but one of those is the various opportunities that we provide to our students to be involved in clubs and activities. This helps our students to feel more connected to our school, and it builds other skills and talents that they have outside of academics. I am also proud of the teachers who come in early and stay late to work with these groups. They share their love of outside interests with our students. And I would be remiss to not introduce the staff that we have in the audience tonight. So if you will stand when I announce your name. Amy Westacott, Brianna Wesley, Teacher of the Year, Ann Braun. Yay. Had to throw that in. Woohoo! Jessica Armstrong, and Mrs. Becky Carr. And I saw Mrs. Tina Miller in the back. She works at Woodland. We also have our two dance team leaders, Miss Amy Peters and Ashley Engler.
Yay!
I want to tell you just a little bit about all of these clubs that I am so proud of. First, our choir is led by Brianna Wesley. Our choir performs throughout the year in our building and outside in our community. In December, they performed with our Kindness Club at Addington Place, and after their performance, they and the Kindness Club members spent time with the residents of Addington. Kindness Club is led by Annie Neerman and Jessica Armstrong. They meet once a month and lead kindness initiatives in our school. They also reach out beyond our walls and are currently working on making blankets for Project Linus, which provides blankets to children in need. Our student council is led by Shelley Cornell and Amy Westacott, and student council students have the opportunity for leadership in our school. Our running club is led by Amy Westacott. Running club trains twice a year, once for the Race for the Future 5K, and they represent Woodland so well, and then again for a spring 5K. Coding Club is led by Vanessa Burmester and Annie Neerman. Coding Club meets once a month, and students explore the world of coding through various projects and activities. Makerspace is led by Colby Cantrell and Sarah Binky, and each week students get an opportunity to come together, to be creative, to collaborate, to communicate. In Book Club, led by Annie Neerman, she holds lunch meetings once a month for students to explore their love of reading. And finally, our Dance Club, our newest club this year. They are here to entertain you tonight. Dance Club is led by Amy Peters and Ashley Engler. They perform at our celebration assemblies, and they are going to dance for us this evening, and we are going to ask for some participation. So we're going to dance to our Woodland School song, and there is a part twice where they ask you to raise your paw to the sky. So we're going to raise our paws to the sky. Everybody get your paws up, and we go, roar, okay? Let's try it. Ready? Paws up. Roar. Okay, here we go. The Woodland Dance Team.
Yay. Yay! Yay!
I need to recognize these ladies: Allie Oleritz, Carrie Tice, Elizabeth Mendoza, McKenna Viscami, Lydia Schenkel-Rainey, Leilani Morgan, and Alexa Bratton.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Appreciate that presentation. Fantastic job, and coaches, good job. They did that with energy, and they even mastered the use of those pom-poms, which can be tricky. So, great job. Can we give them just one more round of applause, please? Okay, next up, I'm going to throw it down to Ms. Julie. She's got a spotlight she'd like to do tonight.
All right. I don't know about a dancer, but there's no finer than Mr. Andy Campbell. Summit Ridge Academy principal will present for the second school spotlight this evening.
Thank you. Thanks. So no, there will not be dancing. Dr. Herzog was really pushing for it, but it wasn't going to happen. So it's certainly a pleasure to be here tonight to talk about Summit Ridge Academy. For those that don't know what Summit Ridge Academy is the district's alternative program. currently serving students from all 3 high schools and all 3 middle schools in our district. We work with anywhere between 120 and 130 kids each quarter, and that rotates as kids are finishing up a program, getting themselves back on track. Really every day I have a dedicated staff of 22 that show up for kids that are there to really help kids get back on track, highlighting our mission of helping them. Credit recovery is obviously a big part of what we do, but also helping them get back on track in their personal lives. Over the last several years, we've implemented a trauma-informed program in our building, and we've seen some pretty amazing things. Trying to get kids to come and talk in front of a group can oftentimes be difficult, so we thought we have a captive audience while we have them there at Summit Ridge. So we made a video. So we're going to show you a video, and what we asked them to do was if somebody in the audience were to ask about your experience here at Summit Ridge, what would you tell them?
How has Summit Ridge helped you?
Summit Ridge has helped me by, wait, let me start.
You're fine.
Okay, Summit Ridge has helped me because there's a lot more of an emotional support in the school, and it's a lot different from a normal high school environment because there's a lot more time to do things and get things done, and just a lot more support from all the teachers and the students.
I'm Evan. I've been a student at Summit Ridge for like 2 or 3 years now. There's a lot of misconceptions about this school, but honestly, it's a really good school. The teachers do everything they can to help you and make sure that you have all the tools you need to be successful. And they've done a lot for me personally. They've helped me get back on track and done a lot of good things. So if you're thinking about applying, I would take it seriously because this is a nice school. I'd consider it.
I'm Isaac Cranmore. I've been going here for about 2 months now almost. Whenever I first came here, there was a lot of great teachers here that were always to help me whenever I needed help and always there for me whenever I needed help. Like I can name off some teachers, Mr. Moore, like Miss Wood, the one recording now. They've helped me a lot whenever I needed help. Whenever I came to work that I didn't know what I was doing, they were to help me. The schools are great because it's not only easy, but it's a place to work. They want you to get through. They want you to finish the work. And they want you to get the feasting. This is what this place is for. So I think this is a great school.
They give you tools to be successful, and it's very helpful. So if you need a little help, they'll give it to you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so my name is Austin Brewer, and I'm a junior, and I obviously go to Summit Ridge. And Summit Ridge is like really just a place where you can like get caught up. And some people come here for other reasons, but I'm here because like I just need to get caught up on credits. And it's really like a chill place. Like you honestly just go at your own pace and you kind of do your own thing. And the teachers here, they're like really supportive. They help you a lot, and like they get you on a path, and then you just kind of just take off from there. I like it because I don't know. I kind of just go on my own pace. I like to do my own thing. I don't really like to be told that much what to do. I like to just I like to pinpoint out what I need to do, and then just get going. The teachers here, they help you pinpoint out what you need to do. Yeah.
How has Summit Ridge helped you?
Summit Ridge has helped me catch up on my credits throughout a full year of schooling, In another school, you could only get 7 credits, but here at Summit Ridge, you can get 10 credits.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Summit Ridge has helped me a lot with the double credits, and as long as you get your work done, you should make up everything.
All right, thanks guys.
Yep.
All right, what is Summit Ridge all about?
I think Summit Ridge is really about kind of helping students who are struggling in different areas and multiple different things, kind of a wide variety, kind of helping them get that little extra push so that way they can either get back on track or stay on a better track, or just kind of help any of the normal student issues that come around a lot.
So that just highlighted a little bit of the things that we got going on over there at the Ridge, and our kids affectionately call it. Steve Moore was the one who put that together. Steve's our English teacher, so give him a...
Yay.
And just two things quickly, you know, we don't have the opportunity, because all of our kids are still attached to their home school, and we encourage them to stay attached to their home schools. So activities-wise and club-wise, we don't have a lot of those things, but we do have some things that we do. 2 of those that we do throughout the year. One we did in the fall. We have our Day of Giving, and our kids are out in the community. You saw some pictures there, that very last slide on generosity, out in the community doing community service projects. I believe our group that worked with Lee Summit Cares and Prodeo was highlighted just recently in one of their events. And then finally, we're upcoming in April. We're going to have a health and wellness day, and we partner with our community to bring in some different groups to just do some healthy activities and give our kids some things to think about and as they go through life. So thanks again for the opportunity to come and represent the Ridge. It's my passion. It's our staff's passion. And to see kids come there and be successful is exactly why we all get out of bed every morning. So thank you for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Andy. It's a privilege every year to attend your graduations at year end, and I know that we can all attest to how wonderful they are. And I love the name, The Ridge. It's catchy. It's really great. Good job again. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to turn to Ryan, Mr. Murdoch, over here to your right. I think this is kind of appropriate since he just had knee surgery to be introducing National Athletic Trainers Month. So go for it, Ryan.
Yeah, I had knee surgery Tuesday, so it's feeling awesome. Tonight we're going to recognize the National Athletic Trainers Month. During March, we recognize our district's valuable athletic trainers. These highly skilled professionals dedicate themselves to the health and safety of our student athletes, and our entire Lee Summit R7 community appreciates the work that you do for us and your positive impact on student success. I believe Matthew Falke is here. There you go. Oh, wow, you're already up here. Wow, yes. That's awesome. From Lee Summit North High School, and he's representing all of the R7 athletic trainers during our meeting tonight. Thank you for everything that you do.
Yay. Woohoo. Matthew, real quickly, if I may, when do the Broncos play? Tomorrow in Springfield? 5:15. Awesome. Good luck. Mm-hmm. Okay. Turning to my left and your right is Mr. Bob White. He has a recognition he'd like to share with all tonight.
We celebrate our outstanding R7 Modern Language Department teachers during National Foreign Language Week, held March 17th 7th through the 13th this year. Our students, staff members, and families appreciate the work of these educators who share their knowledge and help prepare students for our rapidly changing global society. Mei Li, Chinese instructor, will be representing all staff members in this area at the March board meeting tonight.
Very nice. Thank you so much. All right, and I'm going to turn to our board vice president, Jackie Clark. She is going to, I'm just going to let her tell you what she's presenting this evening.
I have the privilege tonight of celebrating this week with where we're honoring our district's math, engineering, technology, and science teachers. This is kind of important. That's the industry I'm in. And the positive influence they have had on our students. Our entire community is grateful for your commitment to providing outstanding instruction in this important area for our students. At this meeting, Dr. Paul Rutherford, Engineering and Design Development Instructor at Summit Technology Academy, will represent all staff members in this area. And a special note, he is among our retirees this year. So welcome and congratulations, and have a wonderful future.
Well, you shouldn't say that. Before we go on, Mr. Rutherford, hang on for just a second. Bob White leaned over and told me something I want him to tell you.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the audience know that my first official act as a building principal was to hire Paul, and I did get to sign his retirement papers, however, it was very reluctantly. So congratulations on your retirement, Paul.
Thank you. Oh, that's cute. Okay, and finally, our final presentation is to recognize Principals Day. I'm going to read this one. During March, we recognize our principals and assistant principals who lead the way in creation of a positive learning environment in our schools. Our students, staff, and families are grateful for your leadership and your commitment to our school community. Mrs. Stacy James, Woodland Elementary Principal, is representing all principals and assistant principals at the March Board of Education meeting. Thank you for being here tonight. Let's give her a big round of applause. Very nice. Principals, I know everyone can hearken back to their days in school of principals. And I remember specifically in middle school, which was junior high back then, I had principals as a cheerleader used to put us in their cars and take us to the games. Well, we can't do that anymore. But I have fond memories of outstanding principals and assistant principals. And again, I'd like to, if you are a principal or assistant principal in this room or ever have been, would you please stand so that we may just kind of stare at you? Or is it Stacy the only one here? Come on, you guys. Thank you for everything that you do to ensure that school is running smoothly. You're greatly appreciated. Before we go into comments from the public, I do have someone that I would like to introduce to everybody tonight. Miss Linda brought this over to me. I would like for Dixie Youngers. Where's Dixie? Is Dixie Youngers here? There's Dixie. Okay, so I want to tell you about her. She is from the North Kansas City Board of Education. She is their vice president. She is currently pursuing her distinguished level of Missouri School Board Association certification, which requires her to observe another school district's school board meetings. So please give her a warm welcome to the R7 Board of Education. Hey, Dixie, do you all have as much fun with your board meetings as we do? Oh, okay. All righty, very good. All right, at this time, we turn into our section, which is comments from the public, and I have asked that Joe Hatley, our attorney, go on ahead and lead us into that, because we have a lot of speakers, and we want to hear from every single person. So Joe's going to get us started on that.
This is introduction by way of just advising those who've signed up. I'm going to read something here from Board Policy BDDH. It says discussion about individual faculty, staff, or students will not be allowed during open session. Basically what that means is that you cannot get up here and talk about individual employees, ask the board to take action about individual employees, no matter how far down the food chain an employee is or how far up the food chain they are. This does not mean that members of the public are not able to make comments or express concerns about employees of the school district. There is a link on the district's website where you can send an email to all 7 board members simultaneously if you have an expression of support or an expression of concern about an employee of the school district. That is the place to do that. I'm assured that all board members read those emails, so you can be assured that your comments are going to be heard. So if you have a comment about a program, you have a comment about a policy, finances, that's all fair game. But again, asking the board to take action about a particular employee in the school district, either for or against, is not permitted during open session. A little bit of legal mumbo jumbo here. I do believe that this does not violate anyone's First Amendment rights. This is a viewpoint neutral, reasonable time, place, manner restriction that the courts have allowed. The board has created a limited public forum here, and as long as the board doesn't choose sides in deciding who can speak, one side or the other, this is an appropriate restriction in my view. So just to reiterate, no comments about individual employees, for or against.
And I would like to add on that members of the dais here, we will also sit and we will not have comment as well. We will sit and actively listen to all of our speakers this evening. So I'm going to start off. So we're going to bring Paul Hawkins up to the podium. I believe Paul is here to talk with us this evening about teacher input. We do have Dr. Gates over here in her sunshine, yellowy, beautiful sweater. She's going to keep us on task. On to 3 minutes. Here we go.
Okay, Madam President, Dr. Carpenter, and board members, thank you for allowing me to talk to you today. I was encouraged to speak to you based on questions and statements I made to Dr. Carpenter on Monday night. I'm not here to demand anyone's firing or break any of the rules. I fear that by speaking I'm choosing a side, but that is not my intent. I'm here to speak on behalf of teachers who are hurting. You see, we know we are not perfect. We know that the system has flaws, and we are the major component of the system. We are willing to go to training, read books, and have discussions about things we don't understand and things that we need to work on. We don't have to be told that our kids are hurting or disenfranchised. We carry that burden home every night. We understand that there are students who don't believe that they belong. I'm here as a teacher and a coach who is drawn to those students who don't fit in always or fit the normal. I fix up houses with my father. There's nothing like taking something that most people think should be torn down and with some TLC turning it back into what it was meant to be. Coaches and teachers, by nature, get this. By the nature of what they have chosen as a profession, they root for the underdog. This is my favorite shirt. I have pictures in my house from Disney World, Mexico, Boston, and many other places in this shirt, and I wear it proudly. When I wear it now, people ask me, oh, is that the racist school district? I understand that this story speaks to my privilege. I'm able to go and do things that many of my students are not. But my commitment is that I'm going back to Lee Summit High School tomorrow and teaching math, so hopefully each and every student in my classroom can afford to take the same trips or better. I'm not claiming that this house is perfect, but I work with some amazing people who deserve to be defended from anyone who disparages or misrepresents them. That means standing up for us from past and future attacks and misinterpretation of the facts. I hope that I haven't come across as angry. I was worried about this because It happens when you put yourself out there and you don't feel like the people in charge have your back, let alone when you feel at times the people in charge may view you as part of the problem. Now that's a feeling, and I'm old enough to know that feelings can't always be trusted, and that myself and many of the people who have a lack of trust with the central office could be misguided. I also know that if my players or students don't think that I'm willing to defend them, that play and learning will suffer. The media and others could have hijacked the equity discussion, and our district being painted as toxic possibly wasn't the superintendent's intention. I hope that's the case. But either way, the perception of our community to those on the outside and the morale of the people inside is important, and serious work must be done to repair both. Board, I urge you to find out if Dr. Carpenter believes that this house has a good foundation and just needs some tweaks, or if he believes that it is in disrepair and needs to be torn down. From many of our perspectives, he is actively going about
Okay,
the
can we
process.
stop here, please?
Yep.
Refer from discussing any one person.
I apologize.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure that you and the board are taking the time to defend the reputation of the district while doing the rehab that all of us agreed needs to be done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up, I'm going to have speaker number 2. This is Sherry Hand. I believe that she's going to come up and speak to us about the achievement gap.
Good evening. Go Jayhawks.
Uh-huh.
My name is Sherry Hand. I'm a resident of Lee Summit for 25 years. I'm also a mother of 4 kids who graduated from Lee Summit, all receiving an excellent education. I am also a former teacher in this district, a district that I served faithfully for 15 years, and one in which I had amazing colleagues who daily strove to give kids all that they had to give, many, many times ignoring their own needs and their own children's needs to take care of their students. First, I'd like to address the equity gap that we all want to successfully eliminate. To newcomers in the district, I want you to know that our teachers always fought this gap. Years before you came, years before it gained headlines, my colleagues and I at Campbell studied those test results faithfully, put in place strategies to lift up kids who struggled. In one of my first conversations with a mom on Facebook, she said this: "I'd be on the street corner fighting for your kids if they weren't getting a fair education. Why aren't you?" I related to that question. Those who know me well will tell you that I'm sort of that mother bear too. The thing that wasn't being communicated well to parents, excuse me, like this great mom, was the fact that this problem has concerned teachers in Lee Summit for decades, and it's a ridiculously hard problem to fix. This problem is not just here. The education gap exists in every community, large and small, urban and suburban. Secondly, I'd like to share some research regarding the gap with statistics that may surprise you. Excuse me. Professional studies indicate that conversations about race have done little to improve things for kids who are behind. In fact, you may be surprised to learn that minority kids as a group may enter kindergarten a full 30 percentile points below the white kids. What contributes to this? First and foremost, it's poverty. In Lee Summit, for example, black kids are 3.5 times as likely to suffer the effects of poverty than are white kids. In fact, every minority in Lee Summit is at least twice as likely to suffer those effects. How do we combat those problems? On the district community level, we take a good look at early education, just as Mayor James is doing. Further, board members, before the cost cutting went into place, we had a middle school that allowed teachers 40 minutes 4 times a week to meet and strategize about their kids. We need to rethink that policy because it was a good one. We need to come together as a community to address these concerns. Excuse me. I am here to encourage the conversation and to reassure my friends all throughout the community that we hear your concerns and we share them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sherry. All right, I would like to ask Julie Souders to come on up here to the podium. Is she here with us? There she is. I hope I said your name right. Was that correct? Excellent.
Hi. This is the first time I've ever been to one of these, so I'm not totally familiar with the process. But I just wanted to share about an experience that I had at it's kind of like a little forum meeting. I don't know what you call it. Dr. Carpenter and Phyllis was there along with some other people on the panel, and some discussions were had. And I was just, I left a little disturbed. There was a woman who shared about her children needing some additional help, and unfortunately she wasn't able to be here because what I have to say would make a lot more sense if she had said her part first. But anyway, so the conversation was mainly about the struggling of the black kids in the district. And she was wondering why it was that her white kids weren't able to get the same things, you know, when they were having trouble as well. And so he came over and spoke with her afterwards. And after she left, she was in tears. And there was a couple of us standing there, and he said, you just can't talk to people like that. And I don't understand that. People like what? People who are passionate about their children and want what's best for them. And so I then shared about my son, who kind of had the opposite experience. He actually did really well in school. He hated first grade. He cried every single day about having to go because he was already reading and doing math, and so he was just bored to death. And one of the gentlemen asked if he was in the gifted, and I said no. He always, dismissed it by a smidge. And then Dr. Carpenter laughed and asked me how many black kids did I think were in the gifted program. And I was a little confused why that was relevant. As I tried to respond, he just continued to ask the same question: how many black kids do you think are in the gifted? And in fact, there was one I was trying to tell him. But here's the funny thing,
Madam
that
President.
shouldn't matter.
Okay, I think, let's just don't talk about a specific person.
Oh, okay. Well, regardless.
Okay.
It shouldn't matter what color my kid is, but, the funny thing is, when he was in elementary school, his hair was stick straight blonde and he had blue eyes. So I really don't think that he was not in the gifted program because he was black. I just wanted to share this experience. I'm running out of time now. I guess just to give a perspective on things. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. All right, next up, our speaker is Alicia Rollins. Come on up, Alicia. I want to make sure that I just inform you that it does say on here, mentions a discussion of about a certain person.
I took out a certain person's name.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Got you. I can follow directions. Okay,
You
so
know,
good evening.
Just to be clear, though, I think if it's obvious, using euphemisms and the like violates the spirit of the policy as well.
I understand. Good evening. I appreciate seeing everybody out here. The engagement is awesome. Since September 25th, 2018, life in Lee Summit has shifted. The CFMP and equity discussions have been unnerving at least, and pandemonium at worst. Social media has been inundated with posts, tweets, texts, and tirades of people's opinions. We have witnessed support and dissension, assistance and avoidance, passionate pleas, and political undermining. Despite what some have argued, this is not just a race issue. It's a human issue. So where shall we go from here? First, we must seek to serve others, not just our own interests. Dr. King once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, we all know, what are we doing for others? Second, we must acknowledge the facts and know where gaps exist in students' educational outcomes and social and emotional well-being. Third, we must commit to collaboration, not separation. Together, we have collective wisdom as a community to create systemic solutions that benefit all. This is not the time to divide and conquer or start over. We must stay the course. We affirm the leadership, the equity work that has been done amongst the board and the leadership, and we appreciate that. And we just wanted to say that we support these efforts, and this is submitted on behalf of the Equity Task Force for over 200 families of suburban balance. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you very much. All right, next up, Michael McManus. Come on up. And I'll tell you, to just speed things along a little bit, Heather Crane, you're after him, so if you could kind of line up over there, that would be awesome. Thank you. Hello, Michael. You're wearing a shirt. Tell us about it.
Yeah, good evening. I'm here to report about Titanium Tech's Lee Summit West first Tech Challenge team. We were in the Missouri State Championships this last weekend in Rolla. We won. We're going to Worlds. We're rated number 2 in the world.
Awesome.
Not only did we win there was a team from Wisconsin that came down just to watch us, to make sure to learn from us.
That's great.
All 3 high school robotics teams are in competition this weekend over at Olathe South in the Heartland Regional. It's only about 30 minutes over there. I urge you to go see it. Titanium and Driven and Bronco Bots have owned that competition in the past. I assume that we will going forward. And we'll see you in Houston for the World Championships.
Thank you so much. And next up is Heather Crane, and then Daphne Manes. You're in the lineup over there. If you could go ahead and line up. Thank you. Heather?
Madam President, board members, Dr. Carpenter, administrators, community members, and teachers. My name is Heather Crane, and I am proud to be a career educator and have taught 12 of my 18 years in Lee Summit. I'm also proud to currently be serving as the interim president of Lee Summit NEA. I can tell you that we have incredible teachers who work tirelessly every day to maximize learning for every student. LSNEA believes every child deserves a high-quality public education. We embrace diversity of our community and support professional development training to help teachers meet the diverse needs of all students. However, tonight I am here to talk about character. Character is defined by our district's commitment to the Community of Character initiative that centers around teaching and modeling qualities such as respect, responsibility, honesty, and integrity. Recently, the Kansas City Star article presented an incredibly false narrative about our teachers and dealt another blow to our already staggering morale, which has been at its lowest in recent memory. Many teachers believe they are being portrayed as racist by our own district leaders, and that makes finding common ground extremely difficult. Does district leadership believe our community and its teachers are racist or has been portrayed as it has been portrayed in the press? Sadly, many teachers do not feel respected, much less protected or defended publicly by our administration. With regard to equity, I would like to clarify again that teachers are not opposed to training. In fact, we welcome the new diversity plan as a starting point. Since the presentation of the achievement data, there have been many conversations during plan periods and around lunchroom tables. We are professionals who are dedicated to the success of every student, and we welcome the opportunity to learn and grow. In fact, when asked, over 95% of LSNEA members surveyed support relevant and applicable equity training. It is our hope that in keeping with prior district practice, teachers would have the opportunity to participate in the selection process for a training provider. And for the record, LSNEA has several hundred members and continues to climb. In closing, character is doing what is right even when no one is watching. Right now, everyone is watching. As the Board of Education, this is your opportunity to do what is right and ensure all staff is involved in conversation about equity, not just a hand-selected few. As the board, you have the responsibility to help correct the negative media portrayal of our staff and community as racists. We need you to help rebuild trust so teachers do not fear retaliation if they expressed an honest but different perspective. And finally, what is right is having the integrity to do all of these things in a timely and transparent fashion so our community can begin to heal and rebuild trust that has been so heavily damaged. I hope we, as teachers, can count on you. We will continue every day to put children first. We just hope our teachers aren't last.
Thank you, Heather. And stepping up to the podium is Daphne Manes, and then in the lineup over here, Markel Alverson. Did I say that right? Markel Alverson, is that correct? Marshall? Excellent, come on over. All right, Daphne.
Thank you.
Daphne, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone for the opportunity to speak tonight to the board. I'm speaking on behalf of some parents who feel like our voices on the topic of equity and diversity have not always been fully heard. I appreciate everyone that's here tonight that does support the notion of equity and understands that we do have opportunity in the district. I did want to share, though, an example where I've personally grappled with bias in our curriculum in an interesting manner. Just pause for us to consider as we look at the topic. I'm in the 5th grade. By the way, I'm a parent of 2 students in Lee Summit, one a current student, one a graduate. Both are children of color. In the 5th grade, at my son's elementary school, there's an annual event called Colonial Days. Many of you may have heard of that. During this event, students take the majority of the school day to immerse themselves in celebrating the life of an American during the colonial era. Children are encouraged to wear costumes representative of that era and participate in organized games and cultural activities that would be typical of this time. For most students, this is a fun event. My child of color, however, had a different reaction. He was not comfortable with it, nor was he excited about participating. For my child, the colonial era, or much of the early history of our country, unfortunately, is something that we must certainly learn about, but it is something that we don't celebrate. It invokes feelings of fear, sadness, hatred, and ugliness. The truth is, had my child of color been alive during that time, he very likely would have been enslaved, as a large majority of people of color were. He would not be making candles, singing songs, or bobbing for apples, nor would he be celebrating. He would be fighting for basic civil rights such as physical safety, proper housing and food, and to be with his own family. When my son saw the costumes others were contemplating wearing, it didn't resonate with him. There was nothing about colonial days that felt right to him, and we therefore chose not to participate. The more I thought about my child having to make this decision to put on the clothes and be something that he was not to celebrate this day, the more disappointed I was at the lack of cultural sensitivity in the curriculum that year. To ask a student of color to celebrate a period of time that quite honestly is terrifying, and to negate the reality of what feelings they might experience was quite disappointing. We wrote a letter to the teacher and principal explaining why my son would not be participating and got a polite response, and yet this year again, Colonial Days lives on. I hope this brings perspective to how us not intentionally taking time to consider the diversity of our students can have a lasting impact on a child. Something as small as Colonial Days can unintentionally send a message to a young child of color that their life, their history, and their feelings are not valid and that their differences are not important. I thank everyone who has been open to the topic of equity in our education and ask that we all support the initiatives that allow us to think about things from all perspectives and with open minds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daphne. All right, Marshall Alverson is next at the podium, and then Judy Hedrick will follow.
Good evening, Superintendent, school board members, and administrators and parents. My name is Marshall Alverson. I am the parent of a junior at Lee Summit West High School. The last time I was in this room, it was a happier occasion. My daughter, Danielle Alverson, was being recognized for being a Missouri Scholar in 2014. And today, unfortunately, I'm here on a more solemn note. On Monday, my son was called a coon in his class. This, of course, and I'm not going to say any administrators' names or anything, was not taken seriously, and it was investigated in a few days, and was basically told by that 21 students in the class had been interviewed as to whether the white student had actually said this word, not the retaliatory word that my son said in response. Of course, he was, heard. So I found that shocking. The boy is still in class. This is why the work of equity must continue. I was going to stand on the sidelines because my son is almost out of this school. And I thought, I don't have to state my case anymore, but I do. It's just so important that we continue the work so that biases like these, if equity was reinforced in the Lee Summit R7 school districts, our classrooms would look the same. Our students of color would feel that they matter. My son would not have to tell me, Mama, it doesn't matter because they don't care. And that's one of the things we need to address and to change. And I'm hoping we move forward with more talk on equity in this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. Next up at the podium is Judy Hedrick, and then Jessica Vandenbos is next.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I was not planning to speak this evening, but since the board did not take comments during the work session tonight, I want to provide you some in full transparency information in regard to the information that you were given tonight. You were given information about the number of staff added back to the district over the last 6 years, but the other piece of that conversation was the staff that was cut from FY09 to FY12, and that number is 178.09. And for the board's reference and the people in the audience, you can go back to the March 15th, 2018 work session and find the distribution, which staff members were cut in what categories, which included 13 administrators, 31.73 other certified staff, 89.5 teachers, 43.86 support staff. The other conversation I would like to have with you is about the fund balance number that you received tonight, which it was from the ASBR report, which is the district's state financial report. However, the number that you were given as the fund balance included restricted funds for nutrition, activity, and our BASS program that have all their own source of revenue. So those funds have always been restricted and not to be used for general operating purposes. So I wanted you to be aware of that as well. And the last thing is, I think a lot of people in the audience tonight are surprised by the fact that now we're talking about board policy, about public participation, BDDH. And I think it's very interesting that I sent the board an email on February the 8th questioning why the board was allowing comments on individual employees, and you had been doing that all along up until someone questioned you about it. I know you can't answer that question or respond to me tonight, but if the board policy was changed accordingly in August, then I think the board should have been following that policy since last August if the policy was changed at that time. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Judy. Next up is Jessica Vandenbos, and then also lining up Joelle and Colette, Michael Sabert.
Hi there. I am a parent of 2 students and 1 graduate, also a former educator. I've been a classroom teacher, a school counselor, and a library media specialist. I want to start with a quote from a teacher that I was talking to the other day. She said, "I love my students. I'm always looking for ways that I can make each child successful. I will stay up late at night and research resources. I will pore over new lesson ideas. I want every student in my class to know that he or she is important and that I will do whatever it takes to make him or her successful. I'm so sad that we are being portrayed as not caring about all of our students. Whatever it takes." That stood out to me. This is the mindset of your teachers, school administrators, and staff members in the district. This is the mantra of the educators who are professionally trained to do what they do day in and day out, whatever it takes. This is what your teachers say in their minds at midnight when they're poring over new ideas and resources to best meet the needs of a struggling student. This is the mantra of teachers who work way beyond their contracted 8 hours per day and attend summer trainings when they should be enjoying time off work. This is the mantra that those wonderful teachers from my kids' school, Woodland, may say when they're doing those clubs that they do for no pay just to get kids involved. So, something that has not been mentioned in the media or the news over the past few months is the fact that this district is filled with incredible, dedicated, passionate people. Having worked in the school district and volunteering in schools, I can honestly say that your staff members care. For decades, teachers and administrators have poured over data, they've strategized, they've set goals, and they've collaborated and engaged with every single resource possible to do whatever it takes. To allow the media to paint this district, employees, and families in such a negative light is such an injustice for the hard work that has been put into making this district the excellent place it is and has been. But I think perhaps the biggest injustice is that in the midst of creating what has been referred to as quote-unquote manufactured controversy, you've forgotten who the negativity is really affecting. It's the teachers and the students. Morale is at an all-time low. We heard that time and time again last night at the board candidate forum. And it's heartbreaking to watch people that are so amazing at what they do choose to retire early, look for employment elsewhere, or feel like they don't have a voice. You guys want to raise test scores? I have the answer. It's an answer based on research and data, and it's been proven to work. It does cost money, but when your school district is funded by taxpayer monies in 2 counties, it seems like a drop in the hat. According to DESE's 2017 core data report, Lee Summit R7 collected over $1.8 billion between Cass and Jackson counties, and $1.1 billion of those funds were local taxpayer money. I know I have to wrap up, but lower the class sizes. I've been a classroom teacher. Let teachers create relationships with those students. Let them get to know their kids. Give the teachers back their collaboration time, like Sherry mentioned, that was taken away. I'm going to finish up. Now is the time to think about how you as a board and leadership team can show teachers that you do, in fact, trust their training and judgment. You and I both know that they will always do whatever it takes.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, next up is Joelle and Colette. Then in the lineup, please, Michael Seibert, Samantha York, and Christine Bushyhead.
Good evening.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for giving me this opportunity.
You are welcome.
Again, this is my first time to do this, but I feel like the equity plan that was put out was sort of ramrodded through. I am a parent who is involved. I have a daughter who's been in the school system since she was in kindergarten, and she's now in 7th grade. And I have questions about the data regarding the achievement gap. What was the achievement gap? What test scores are we talking about? Are these district exams? Are these state exams? And then I wanted to know the achievement gap, what were the factors that were looked at? Was it only based on race? Did we look at home life? Did we look at single parent families? Did we look at socioeconomics? I also work with Lee Summit Care and Rediscover on the Youth Mental Health Committee here in Lee Summit. And we don't talk about students and where they're from and so on and so forth. We talk about them as a whole and how to support our students and their mental health, which I think has really come to the forefront in our country. Again, as far as the gap achievement and test scores, what are our trends in Lee Summit in the last 5 to 10 years? I would be interested going up, going down. The other thing, I'm blessed to say that I have a student that's been in the gifted program from a very young age, and I was told as a result of this equity plan that it would be more important to bring students all to the same level versus helping everyone to succeed, and that is a huge concern of mine. I don't think the gifted programs need to go away. Like another mother that spoke that has a gifted child, my daughter was bored in elementary school. The teachers there were phenomenal. Instead, they asked her, do you mind helping someone sitting next to you? So that's what the school system is all about. I have never, ever felt that we've had racial issues in this town. I lived in California for 23 years. It was a hot mess, and that's why I moved to Lee Summit, Missouri. So I hope the board as a whole is listening to the community. The community has a lot to say right now. Thank you. Oh, one other thing, I'm sorry. I don't care for the word black, white, Hispanic, whatever. We have one race, and it's the human race, and we need to get back to that principle.
Thank you, Joellen. And now I'm going to bring up Michael Seibert, followed by Samantha York.
Thank you. I think one of the great things about being an American is that the people have the right to come before their elected representatives and their employees to view their concerns or their issues. And I'm hoping that the board's attorney and the board president would also, in the spirit of board policy, be very quick to shut down anyone who's bringing forth complimentary questions towards employees in the district, as you are to shut down anyone who's bringing forth something negative. So I hope that that's an equally applied standard. Along those lines, I think that as the parents, we get the opportunity to ensure that the board and their employees are held responsible for their choices, conduct, and results, just like we expect of our kids. And I think that in the spirit of an open dialogue, that there's certain things that we could admit, and the way I look at it, I would say that our district is underperforming. Last meeting was the first meeting that I had been to a school board meeting, and I heard cheerleading saying that, you know, we're behind Blue Springs, and we're gonna catch them. And I'm looking around like, why on earth are we trying to compete with Blue Springs? If we're gonna compete against somebody, it had better be Blue Valley across the border. It had better be Scion Catholic. We're not competing against the other Missouri schools in this. That's not the standard that we're trying to achieve for excellence. And I think that along those lines, I mean, if we're comparing MAP scores, me personally, I would like Missouri to get rid of MAP, go back to something like the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, or something that's broader, that gives us a better understanding of how we fit in the world that we live in. But along those lines, I think in order to get the house in order, you have to address certain key issues, and I think you start at the district office and with the board member. And with that, I have two questions. I've been kind of pouring through the board policy the last few days, and I know that under the board policy section B, there's a school board governance, board member conflict of interest. And in one of the line items, it says employment. And in that board governance, it says, the district shall not employ board members for compensation even under a substitute or part-time basis. The district will not accept applications of employment from board members, consider board members for employment, or decide to employ board members while they remain on the school board. So my question to the board is, and answer it as you will in front of the whole community, is anyone on the board in violation of that policy? Or does anyone on the pedestal know of any board members who are in violation of board policy in regards to applying for professional jobs, seeking employment? Has the district accepted applications from any board members or any of those other qualifications? Is anybody in violation of that policy?
First off, I will just comment, I don't think this is the place to comment on this.
Yeah. Well, you can voluntarily, there's no one restricting your free speech. You don't have to answer me. You know, it's not like I can demand an answer. I think as an elected representative, if you know that, it would be a sign of character and leadership to volunteer that to the community. So I'm just gonna throw that out. You can make your own decisions. Everybody else will pay attention to that decision.
Under the board policy, the board members are generally not to respond to questions or comments from the podium.
Okay, well, I got one other question. This goes to the senior leadership. So we have a school board meeting in 3 days. And I come from an ethics point of view and all levels of the government, you know, Hatch Act, State of Missouri, Code of Conflict, ethics, everything else. And so with the pending school board election, I would direct a comment to the superintendent, and it's just a question, he can answer if he wants, is has the superintendent recruited, coached, met with, strategized with, or in any other way sought to advance the candidacy of any candidate currently running for the school board, or in any way sought to influence or work to the detriment of any candidate running for the school board? See, where I come from, city managers, superintendents stay as far away from political elections as possible. They don't get involved. And that's the question I have for the superintendent. Is the superintendent involved in any campaign or promoting any current candidate for the school board?
Same rules, sir, and your time's expired.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you being here. All right, next up is Samantha York, and then followed by Christine Bushyhead, and then Lawson Brown. If you go ahead and line up, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Samantha York. I want to thank the board, president, superintendent, parents, and teachers for giving me the opportunity to talk. I am a former employer of Hickman Mills School District, or employee of Hickman Mills School District, and I was coming today to talk to you a little bit about just some of the initiatives that you're facing and the leadership. I know that you guys are looking at the PEG program for equity. I have been through that training. I was on that team. and have utilized some of the stuff in there. I also just want to talk about the fact that we have, we have a common goal. All the teachers have a common goal, and I think that they see that the goals are the same, but I just want you to think about the leadership path as you're going forward, and if that's effective for your school district, and if you're really moving forward. You don't want a divided school district. And since at my time at Hickman, I have become a local president at another local school district, and we work with the superintendent. We have collective bargaining, and it's such a difference, and the community comes together. And I just want you to really consider relationships as you move forward and think about what that does. And if you have any questions, I am open to talking to you, but I just wanted to give you that information, and you have a big decision, and just consider those relationships as you go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. We appreciate you being here. All right, next up, Christine Bushyhead, followed by Lawson Brown and Sita Trice, I believe. Christine.
Hi, thank you. A couple things. One is, I hear a conversation is occurring about a potential assistant in the PR department, and a salary range of maybe $120,000. That's an FTE. No person is in that position yet. It hasn't been created yet. And I would just like to just make one comment. I understand that social media and those kind of things take a lot of time. I know that your current PR person is extremely busy, but I would hope that if we were to get an assistant, that didn't mean that we'd be freeing up more time to work with Aaron Randall so that we can have more articles about witch hunts and lynch mobs. I also think that $120,000 would buy at least 3 or 4, I think, maybe only 2 or 3 paras that could assist our K through 3 students who are the sweet spot for us to address the achievement gap. Secondly, I'd like to talk about, I had the opportunity at a public forum to be guided by Dr. Carpenter to look to the Shawnee Mission School District and how they were dealing with the achievement gap. So curious, and the researcher that I am, I did that. What I find interesting about the Shawnee Mission School District, whose demographics are very similar to R7, is that the discussion is about meeting the children's individual needs. Although in another public forum called Focus on Community, After Hours, non-traditional, as a panelist, Dr. Carpenter and others on the panel were of like mind that family does not matter in this conversation about achievement gaps and equitable access. But in contrast, the Shawnee Mission School District has a Department of Family and Student Services, which functions that include counselors, diversity and equity, McKinley-Vento homeless services, migrant education, Section 503 information, and social workers. Family does matter in the Shawnee Mission School District and in their administration policies and department. What's interesting also about the Shawnee Mission School District conversation, which is they have the achievement gap that all the districts have. There has been no KCUR or KC Star Facebook Live programming or a KC Star article about witch hunt and lynch mobs headlines for the cities of Roland Park, Shawnee, Merriam, or Northern Overland Park. I would project that the reason is that the Shawnee Mission School District focuses on diversity with a view to cultural perspective and not a historical perspective. And race being only one of many categories of diversity, they meet all their children where they find them. What's also interesting is that our strategic plan adopted in July of 2017, the CSIP, has 20 months have passed now. We still have no specific programming specific to closing the achievement gap. We've added no specific curriculum, no additional teaching positions. And as the speakers this evening, you actually have a couple of proposals that you might think about adopting to try to, again, let's get some specifics into this achievement gap issue. That's where we need to address the issues. And then we all need to have our training as it relates to diversity and sensitivity. We know that. That's been recognized. Your teachers have told you that. But come on, let's get some work going so that we can help the kids now. Are we going to lose another academic year without any solid plans? Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. All right, next up is Lawson Brown, followed by Sita Trice. I hope that's right, and then Nicole Doxey.
Greetings, everyone, to the board. As a parent, you never imagine having to make a statement such as this, which is why it was fairly difficult to prepare to address this issue. For a while now, there have been many conversations in our community that this incident directly confronts equity, fairness, awareness, heightened visibility of a legacy issue that compels a difficult conversation and even more challenging personal accountability. So I asked myself, why are we making a statement? What's the purpose? Who's the audience? Will it make a difference? And exactly what is the nature of that difference? Our daughter is 10 years old. She has lived in Lee Summit her entire life and has attended school here from kindergarten through 4th grade. She is our heart. I'm honored and blessed to be her father, and I know her mother shares the same sentiment as her mother. Like for most 10-year-old children, the world is a place of imagination, curiosity, wonder, adventure, and fun. Like discovering new passions. One of her passions is singing. Our munchkin loves to sing. You can imagine her excitement and joy when she was chosen to sing in her school's honor choir. That excitement and joy has now been diminished and replaced with insecurity and bewilderment. On Monday evening, her school's choir, along with a number of other schools in the district, gave a concert. Like most parents, we are all excited with anticipation, cell phones out, ready to take pictures of our children singing with their classmates, with hundreds of parents, family, friends, and staff supporting the children. Gonna jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton. Gonna jump down, turn around, pick a bale a day. Gonna jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton. Oh Lordy, pick a bale a day. I said, me and my buddy gonna pick a bale of cotton. These are the lyrics to the song that our daughter's choir sang. The song is insulting, viscerally offensive, and incendiary. It is unfathomable to me as to how, out of literally thousands of songs available, a song celebrating picking cotton was chosen. To select a song that celebrates and glorifies slavery as something that is fun to do was obscene and inexcusable. There our child was, our beautiful innocent child, an African-American child singing a song which specifically demeans her heritage. As she looks at her parents on the front row for acceptance, approval, and celebration, we clap. In that moment, the dichotomy of outrage and being supportive parents came to a head. Another incident happened several years ago when our class was told to line up based on hair color. Our daughter, being self-aware and confident, went to where the students with brown hair were, as her hair is light brown. The teacher told her to go to the back of the line because her hair was black. This act made her question her self-awareness and come home and ask, Mommy, what color is my hair? Imagine the sense of dread of a 10-year-old child has to deal with because of incidents like these that meet and level. I'm sorry. I'm just going to take part of her time. Like the young queen that she is, she's continued on courageously, but now there's something different. Our 10-year-old child has developed coping mechanisms to deal with the sense of impending rejection. We see it in the fact that she was afraid to tell us as her parents about the song, not because of how angry we would get, but because she loves choir. And she did not want to lose her opportunity of continuing to sing in the choir with her friends. We are hurt. And we are angry for our daughter. She did not deserve any of this. We're outraged. To be clear, we're not interested in being focus of attention. Our primary focus as parents is on the heart, mind, spirit, treatment, esteem, and education of our daughter. At the beginning, I questioned the purpose of this statement, but as I wrote, the purpose became very clear. It is in the hope to compel accountability, action, and change. Not next year, not next month, but change right now, and change on a personal level within the hearts of the listeners and the community at large. As people of faith and charity, we are cemented in hope, in the hope that things will eventually get better, but that hope is diminished when egregious and insulting incidents such as the two that I've mentioned continue to happen. Our hope is that this statement will compel courage and accountability from the board to continue on the current path with the recently approved equity plan. We are all in this community together, all with the goal to see our children grow and live happy, productive lives. Incidents like the one that happened Monday are diametrically opposed to that ideal. I'd like to thank everyone here, and thank you, board, for my time.
All right, are you Sita?
I am.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Sita Trice, okay.
I am a parent in this school district, and I am also a member of the CAC. In both of these roles, I have heard comments stating that there isn't a need for diversity training and/or cultural awareness training. The incident that just occurred this past Monday clearly demonstrates that there is a strong need for cultural awareness training. Our children, all of our children, need to be placed in situations where they can feel successful and proud of their accomplishments. They should not be placed in situations where they are made to feel insecure or humiliated. This is not what our school district should promote. I believe that stringent and comprehensive diversity and cultural awareness training of all LSR7 staff would have prevented the incident at Monday's choir performance from taking place. This needs to be a top priority moving forward, and I am hopeful that the newly approved equity plan will address this as soon as possible. I've also heard comments stating that the district's achievement gaps are somewhat related to parents and their lack of involvement with their children and their children's education. In fact, just last night at the board education candidate forum, a person made that statement. They reiterated this. This statement is simply not true, and it is very offensive. African American parents, whether in a single parent household or a two-parent household, are very much involved with their children. We join the PTA, we join the CAC, we run for the school board, we attend school board meetings, we volunteer at our children's schools, in their classrooms, and at their holiday parties. We volunteer in our community, and we bring our children along with us, teaching them the value of giving back to their community. We attend their school field trips. We attend parent-teacher conferences. We meet with the principal and/or teachers when there are issues or concerns regarding our children. We do homework with our children. We read with our children. We eat dinner at the dinner table with our children. We enroll our children in extracurricular activities, and we coach and attend those activities. We celebrate their successes, and we comfort them during their disappointments. We support our children just as much as the parents of any other child in this district. African American parents are not the problem or the reason for the achievement gaps. However, we are here to work with the board, the superintendent, the teachers, and the community to help solve the problem and eliminate these gaps for all of our children. We are thrilled that the board voted to approve the equity plan. We believe that it is a good plan and that it will ensure that we as a community have a great foundation for eliminating the achievement gaps. We need to remain on the path that we are on, and we need to ensure that our current leadership continues to lead us on this path. Our children, all of our children, deserve to have success throughout their school years, and they all deserve to receive the best education that our district has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next is Nicole Doxey, and then let me mention who's next, Christy Hammond, and then Rhonda Ireland, and then we will conclude with Michael Shaw.
Good evening, parents and Lee Summit leadership. My name is Nicole Doxey. I've been in the district for 5 years. I have a middle school student and a student that just graduated from Lee Summit West. As a mother and a citizen of Lee Summit, I was shocked to learn of the disparities between whites and non-white children and children of lower social economic statuses. As a resident of this great city, we should all want every child to receive an outstanding education and be well prepared for college or a trade school, no matter what the color is or the race. Unfortunately, it seems that when people speak of equity, they only think of blacks versus whites. Equity is about more than race. It's about the lower income families, disabled children, as well as colored children in single parent home as well as mine. So again, I stand today, I'm asking you to continue in the leadership and continue in the great works of the district regarding diversity and equity for all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, next up is Christy Hammond, and then following Christy is Rhonda Ireland.
Hi, my name is Christy Hammond. Thanks so much for having me here today. I'm a longtime Lee Summit resident and a parent of 2 elementary students here. And so I just wanted to share, my son recently experienced a science classroom incident where he was asked to stand on one side of the classroom based on his skin color. Was that a particular genetic trait? Was that part of the curriculum? No. So it was a choice made by his instructor, who subsequently apologized and expressed extreme remorse. So I had the opportunity, my husband and I had the opportunity to sit down, have conversation with her, with the principal, the school counselor, and I believe it was a step in the right direction. I think what it's going to take is communication. So I'm really excited about the equity conversation that we're having and the action plan that is going to be moved forward. So I just want to echo the sentiment that, you know, teachers are willing to do whatever it takes. I'm a former teacher. I come from a long line of teachers, and I know, I mean, it's just, it's grit. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to do what they do every single day. So I just want to say, there's a saying that you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's what it's going to take to ignite changes training. So cultural sensitivity training. It is critical for us to take the time to educate teachers and students in order to reduce incidents such as what my son experienced this January. He is 9 years old. He said his heart was racing. He said he got sweaty and he wanted to cry. And that even caused tears from my principal. So I know that she understands and she's passionate about igniting change and educating and with an equity plan. So I just want to express this to you, that I'm excited about the direction that we're going, and I'm looking forward to being part of the positive change that's going to happen. And I believe our district is moving in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you, Christy, for that. All right, and next up is Rhonda Ireland, followed by Michael Shaw. All right, Ms. Rhonda.
Madam President and Board, thank you for this opportunity. And Dr. Carpenter, last time that I got to be with you all in a speaking, well, I didn't speak, but was recognized was a year ago tomorrow when my state organization recognized me as a social studies, as the Missouri Social Studies Teacher of the Year. I'm proud of that. I know you're proud of that. You've told me you're proud of that. And I am so excited about the voices that I've got to hear tonight that have echoed being proud of our school district. Now, in a school district of our size, we are going to have, my heart is crushed for the parents that have shared incidences where their young adult or their young child, and I've got to have one of the young adults that was mentioned, and his older sister, and they're fantastic kids. There's not a teacher who doesn't want to get better. And I disagree with the earlier comment that that teachers do not acknowledge that we need continued training and we need continued equity training. And again, I loved the former comment that equity doesn't just mean one subgroup. And I might get a little emotional about it because some of my girls are here on the front row, and I think the world of them. And the reason why I came to speak tonight, and like any good teacher, I've heard a lot of what I wanted to say has been said, and it's about teacher morale. And I have heard some say that, oh, things are fine in our schools, or we've heard things are fine in our schools. You bet they're fine in our schools, because you have people like myself who will go home, grade those girls' blue books until after midnight, so they're ready May 6th and 7th when they want to take their, well, when they get to take their IB history exams. And with snow days and everything else, we're all in a crunch. But my main plea tonight is just to ask the board to give each other grace and to work together to make things better, because there are teachers who are hurting. And I'm not going to give any names, but I had conversations this week, and they weren't text conversations, because I'm better face-to-face with people. There are people in my building and people at Summit Lakes. 2 of them were former Teachers of the Year for the district. And they made comments that they've thought about leaving because of the sensationalized media and how it's impacting their classroom. And I understand that. And oddly enough, I had to have a conversation about some of the sensationalized news with some of my girls that are here, and I was glad to do it. It was after school. They asked me, they thought I had signed a petition, which I had not, and because I have had training and because they know I love them, I took the time to talk with them about, I reminded them I've taught them to analyze the news a little better than that, and that they need to make sure that they're checking multiple perspectives. There's no one who's going to work harder for your teachers, and I can't say it enough. We have such fantastic teachers in this district. We have such fantastic kids, and it's time for the sensationalism to stop, because teachers and you, we have work to do. And we're tired. We are tired of hearing it, and we want to have conversations that count, not talking about propaganda, not talking about things that are not true. Now, these incidents tonight that have been brought up, I hope they have been talked about. And we have a fantastic, I'm so proud of our administrators. And I'd made a little list, but I'm going to follow board policy and not say their names. We have fantastic, I'm so proud of our administrators. And they have done things to keep pushing. And I have been a recipient of that pushing. I'm spoiled. I've been here for 26 years, and I'm a parent, and I am a teacher. And in that 26 years, I have been sent to trainings, I've led trainings, and I'm going to keep doing it no matter what's being said, because I know a lot of things that are being said are not true, and I'm confident enough in that. Some of my newer colleagues are not. Some of my other colleagues are getting tired of it. I don't want them to leave. I want my baby, I want my 4th grader to get to have some of these fantastic educators. And as one of my colleagues said in January when she spoke, I'm all in too. I mean, I have dedicated blood, sweat, toil, and tears to some of us in this very room, and I will continue to do that. But we need to know, and we've been told in groups with teachers, but the public also needs to hear that our administration has faith in us and that acknowledge that we've got work to do, and then tell us what that is, because we get a lot of work every year to do, and very little gets taken away. So if we can look at what we've been doing, board candidate said it great last night, and I love that he said this. He said, I would like to bring in some community resources as well, because we have a fantastic supportive community. But of course, I haven't looked at my notes, and that's fine. It's exactly fine. I just would like to finish with this. I understand those perspectives, And my perspective is something to end with. At Lee Summit West, I spent 2 years at Lee Summit High School, 20 years at Lee Summit North, and my buddies there are tired. They're very tired. And now at Lee Summit West, I get to have a fantastic experience with fantastic kids. I understand when people say that it crushed my soul to hear a patron last night say that African Americans in the Lee Summit community feel disenfranchised. That crushes a teacher's soul to think that any kid would feel like they're left out. Hearing some of my fellow community members recount their instances tonight, what their child had to go through, that's soul crushing. There's also numerous examples where students are not disenfranchised and that I'm a part of. So this isn't hearsay. Again, this isn't something I got off Facebook or a text. I've had to stay off of Facebook because it's toxic, and I've got to go home and grade their papers. But I just wanted to share these statistics, and then I'll sit down and thank you. The Titans girls basketball team, 14 of the total 31 in their program are African American. 4 of the starting 5, these girls rock, and I wish we were going to Springfield to watch them tomorrow too. But 4 out of the 5 are African American. The Titan debate team, 3 of our Titans that are going to nationals in debate, one of them is African American. This will involve some of my girls here tonight. Titan Youth and Government, 25% of our delegation is African American. I also sponsor a Titan Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy. 17% of those participants are African American, and they meet at 6:15 a.m. in the morning because they're too busy after school. Lee Summit West total population is 11.6 African American, and if you factor in multiracial, that number is a little higher, 16.2. And if it's something that we need to keep working, like the academic systems review under Dr. Sharp a few years ago, we reached out to get kids into higher level classes. If we need to take that same approach and continue to get more people involved in activities, let's do it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rhonda.
So I get 37 minutes?
Well, considering that I've been generous tonight and allowed 2 people to speak
You know
over
what?
6
I'm not
minutes.
going to be that way, but I certainly
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Shaw. I'm a parent, 19 years, taxpayer, and have 3 kids about to do school, 2 graduates, 1 currently in school. And we want to talk about equity. We've heard everything. I think the thunder has been heard loud and clear about some of the African American experience here at Lee Summit R7 School District. For teachers to suggest that the African American families do not support you is false. To suggest that we don't think you care is false. But there is facts to suggest that we are overrepresented in the subgroups. We want a solution to that. For NEA to suggest that there is something other than, or that it's something that has to deal with the board, that the board has done something, I'm trying not to say names, it's kind of crazy to me. This problem has been going on for years. This problem has been going on for years. If you have the solution, why haven't you done it? If it's a tweak, why haven't you done it? It shouldn't require an equity plan to provide equity because you care. It's not an admonishment, it is a question of saying we can do better collectively. Our community, all the things we see out here in social media and the way that we go at each other creates the circus in which we live in today. Enough is enough. I'm looking at the board to have the courage to say enough is enough. Stop with the special interests, stop with all of this. This is preparing each student for success in life. I just wish we can all just get along. We can all just get along and do what's right by our children. My child goes to this school. I ain't going nowhere. I got means and I got motive. I will be here every day till my last breath, until my son takes his last breath. Do you understand what I'm saying? I am committed to my son's success. Anyone that's not committed to their child's success should not be part of this great institution that we are, great to be a part of. I think the solution is in the room, but let's stop throwing daggers. Let's stop talking about each other. Let's stop thinking that the blacks are against the whites and all that, because it's just not the case. We care about our children as much as you care about your jobs. Can we get together and not pick a bale of cotton? Can we get together and not line up kids by the color of their hair? Can we get together and not talk about and say this isn't about race, but we do things based on race? Because there are subgroups instead of a group. Don't blame the message. Don't blame the messenger. Blame the message. Stop blaming the messenger. It's about the message. That's all I have to say. I appreciate the work that you guys do. I know it's been very hard, but we got to move on. Take that role and just say, you know what? We're going to move forward because it's about the kids. Don't allow our kids' experiences to be ours. Don't allow our experiences to be theirs. We can do different. We can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, on behalf of the board, for those that came out tonight to speak with us, we do appreciate your voice. Thank you for being with us tonight. We are now going to move into business portion here of the meeting. And this is where, we're going to go back to, kind of got myself ahead of myself here. We're going to go to board reports and meetings attended. For those of you that are sitting and watching the video, we are all assigned to different committees and have committees that we serve. I know that we don't just show up for one meeting a month. We have had lots of meetings. So I'm going to start with, at this end with Miss Board Member Doan. Again, thank you for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm actually going to just talk about all of the three committees that I'm on: Team Lee Summit, the Citizens Advisory Committee, and Lee Summit Cares, because I'm so fortunate to be a part of them. If you don't know what they are, each and every one of them are committed to the community, to the students, to the staff, or to our staff, and I just want to applaud each and every one of them. Team Lee Summit, Citizens Advisory Committee, and Lee Summit Cares, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Board Member Smith?
Very quickly, on February 25th, the Citizens Advisory Committee had their meeting at Meadow Lane. I thought a very excellent meeting. Dr. Carpenter and representative from central office here took us through the equity plan that we had just approved a few days before. And I thought overall the response was very good and very informative. On March the 8th, all of us here had the opportunity to participate in the put on by the Citizens Advisory Committee and PTA and some others, our annual legislative meeting at MIC, in which we got to meet with 3 of our elected officials who chose to show up. And there were several good questions and good response. And all I can say is, for those of you out there, please stay informed on the things going on down in Jefferson City right now. They know I refer to things up here from an education point of view as the silly season. The legislature, they're going through their silly season down there right now, too. And there's a lot of bills, and sometimes, so I understand, it's when we have certain things that may not be in best interest of our school district and other school districts surrounding us, they need to hear from the patrons out there. We all do that, but you know, we're school board members. So when they hear, they expect to hear that from us. So when they hear from the patrons out there that they represent, my understanding is a lot of times they take more notice. We had a TIF meeting, tax increment finance meeting, which I had the privilege to sit on. And we had a meeting back on, I think it was like February 26th, if I remember right. But there was a quorum there from one of those bad nights. But we were going to hear a request. But because, if you understand the TIF commission, it's made up of representatives from different taxing entities. Like Jackie and I from the school board. But there were one or two that were unable to be there that night, so the applicant chose to ask for us to reschedule that meeting, and we will do that on March 25th. And Madam President, that's what I got.
That's very good information. Thank you so much. I'm going to go down here to my left, Board Member Murdoch.
Just real quick, I obviously was at the legislative forum as well, and had a spirited discussion with our state senator about two of the bills, House Bill 581 and Senate Bill 160. For anybody who wants to look those up, he and I do not see eye to eye on those particular bills, but I put my best high school debate foot forward on that one from policy debate years. So I'm going to credit that I won that debate, sir, in that particular room. I don't know that I changed his mind, obviously, but I did my very best. That's all for me.
All right, we'll move over here to Board Member Fritchie.
Okay. Ditto on what Ryan said, but I didn't debate the senator, but Ryan did do a fine job of debating the senator. I report for the Lee Summit Educational Foundation. Taste of Lee Summit was a huge success this year. It was a great event. The net from the event was approximately $122,000, an increase over last year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Many thanks to our wonderful friends of the foundation, event sponsors, and all of our community sponsors who helped us with Taste. It was a fantastic event. We are in the midst of student scholarship reviews and peak grant reviews, which involves a variety of community committees, and we'd like to thank all of those volunteers. 11 people serve on our peak review team, which will be reading 115 peak grant applications. That's great. And 79 people will be reviewing 735 student scholarship applications. Or student scholarships, that's not the applications. There's a lot more than that because it's 735 student scholarships. Okay, and then we had the opportunity this week to see baby chicks hatch via live cam at Hazel Grove in Susan Dunham's kindergarten class. They sent us the link to that, and I was glued to my computer watching the baby chicks hatch. The project was made possible through one of our peak grants last year, so that's exciting. Another quick note, I also have the pleasure of serving on the middle school study team, which is an outgrowth of our CFMP, and we are studying the research and the factors that are in the decision-making that go into deciding whether sixth graders stay in elementary schools or move to middle schools in the future. And I just wanted to say that we have had two very informative meetings so far. Our second one was at Campbell Middle School, and we will have some future meetings at the other middle schools. And I just also wanted to give kudos to Dr. Collier because I just think she's doing a great job facilitating that group. Thank you, Dr. Collier.
All right, Board Member White.
We had Finance Committee meeting Wednesday morning, and I'm sure that Dennis will fill you in about that in a little bit.
All right, thank you. And Vice President Clark?
Everyone's noted that we had our legislative breakfast about a week ago, and I think it's notable, particularly for the students who are still here. We had several students who were our hosts that morning, and they stayed around to learn about the issues. And that's at a really important time because the legislature was considering in both the House and Senate respective legislation that could negatively affect our school districts. And the good news is they're adjourned for spring break, so they don't go back until about 10 days from now. So I always like to say when legislatures or Congress are not in session, we are all safe. So just take note of that. But it was great to see the students interested in engaging in advocacy. Several of us attended the candidate debate for the LSR7 schools. The election is upcoming on April. I do that April, August. There are elections in both months. And just want to remind, April 2nd, nothing more to say about that. And then Dennis was right. We did have a TIF meeting on the 27th, and we were both there present representing the school district. Had some folks that couldn't make it out, but we did.
Thank you, Vice President Clark. Just a few notes. I've spent a lot of time as of late on working with Team Lee Summit. That is the outstanding group that's been around for many, many years that does look at salary schedules, and we have some exciting things to vote on tonight as a result of that. I really do want to give kudos to several people. One, my cohort, Julie, over here, for attending the meetings and providing lots of support to Dr. Herzog, who also serves on that as well. It's a fantastic committee. I apologize if I've left anybody off of that, but really want to thank Dr. Del Sim for facilitating and helping us navigate through that. And also, I know she's not here, but Sharon Griffin as well has done an outstanding job with that. So it's really a rewarding committee to serve on. It's kind of the nuts and bolts in a lot of ways for our district. And then I'm really delighted to sink my teeth in on Tuesday, the 26th of March. It's really, truly one of the favorite gig I work on every year, and it's that Teacher of the Year Excellence in Teaching Selection Committee. I've served on it now, I think, well over 10 years, and Laura Maxwell works with the Chamber so very closely and does an outstanding job with that. And I've got my packet tonight, over 100 applicants, I believe, that are in that. Am I saying that correct, Laura? So look forward to spending my spring break reading about the incredible staff and educators that we have in this R7 district and narrowing it down, and it's a tough job. But anyway, that's my report for this evening, and now I'm going to turn it over. Who's doing the Finance Committee tonight? Who's doing the Finance? All right. I was going to say, all right, Board Member Smith.
Thank you. Investments through February total approximately $141.7 million. Revenue and expense report. Expense percentages are within expected budget parameters. The current unaudited fund balance for February is 44.53%. Under facilities, purchasing and distribution program evaluation was presented by Christie to the committee. The Konak Minolta, I can never pronounce that, copier item was addressed by Dr. Amy Gates. The document imaging software contract is being requested for renewal so that we can maintain a working status. By the end of this school year, the district will own the copiers, and we are working towards a maintenance agreement for the equipment. After surveying and analysis of student devices for 7th and 8th grade, the recommendation is for a 2-year lease was discussed. Annually, we renew technology devices that maintain a current 4-year replacement cycle. Bernard Campbell Middle School intercom system needs replaced. Based on the bid and the needs of the building, the recommendation is to approve a contract with the Electronic Contracting, Inc. Greenwood Elementary needs to replace the walk-in refrigerator unit, and we're recommending of approval of a contract with Jake's Industrial for the replacement. Facilities and maintenance project updates include the ongoing Woodland Elementary sewer project, middle school track resurfacing, Westview Elementary roof improvements, and future facilities plannings for Phase 2 of the CFMP. Other financial issues, the Team Lee Summit recommendation was reviewed and presented as follows. Teacher base salary to increase to $40,100, which met a Team Lee Summit goal to reach the 40,000 mark for a starting teacher salary. Team Lee Summit focused on higher increases for support staff. The percentage of those increases is administrators 2.5%, professional 2.7%, support 3.50%, and teacher 3.40%. Provides a base increase with no step movement, brings some of the 18, 19 on the steps off the scheduled staff back onto the schedule. This recommendation also increases the extra duty salary schedule. The committee looked at the human resources non-allocated request as presented in the board packet. Administration is recommending an addition of a $515,516 for HR non-allocated requests, of which $181,856 is fully funded, reimbursed, and reallocated. So I think I'd just like to emphasize that point that of that $515,000, we will be reimbursed through a variety of other means, which that total then just becomes $181,856. I do have a couple items we'll need a motion on.
Okay, very good.
Madam President, I would move to approve the transfer of $3,184,677.09 from the general fund to the special revenue fund.
Second.
All right, very nice. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Mr. Murdoch?
I'm not sure if it needs to be in this place or when we actually discuss the Team Lee Summit recommendation, but one of the things that was provided in the financial report is it says provides a base increase with no step movement. I'm not sure if we need to make sure that it's noted that horizontal movement is allowed for professional education and vertical is what the no step movement is.
Yeah, I think we'll discuss that, right?
Yes, I
We
believe.
can certainly add that note as we communicate out to staff.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Del Sim. Thank you, Board Member Murdoch. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion this evening? All right, very good. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, very good.
One more.
Got it.
Madam President.
You got it.
I move to approve the treasurer's report and payment of the bills.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, with no further discussion, we are going to take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, very nice work, everyone that serves on the Finance Committee. Wonderful. We are now going to move to item number 8. This is items for decision. What we do here is, let me get this here real quick. This is a consent agenda. What it is, we lump lots of things together. We've all done our homework, and according to Robert's Rules of Order, we are allowed to do this, listing several items at one time for board approval. Most of the items listed have been gone through. We have a very diligent board, I will add. And so at this time, I will need a motion and a second.
I recommend, or I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented, 8.01 through 8.07.
Second.
All right, got a duo for second here. All right, very nice, gentlemen. Thank you for chiming in. I have a motion and a dual second. So is there any further discussion, any of these items, 8.01 through 8.07? I'm seeing head shake no. Thank you for doing your due diligence there, board. We will now take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Very, very nice work. We're going to move right into number 9. This is items for decision, contracts over $5,000. We are also placing those together according to Robert's Rules of Order, and I need a motion and a second for those items. Anyone want to try it there?
You want me to do it? Okay, I move to approve the consent agenda items 9.01 through 9.10.
Second.
Excellent. I have a motion, and Mr. Murdoch beat Mr. Smith on the second that time. So, motion and a second. Board, is there any further discussion that we would like to have right now?
Madam President, it's no bad.
Mm-hmm.
Is items 9.07 and 9.08, the
Uh-huh.
The leader in me,
Mhm.
I've had the opportunity to see years when I've done some consulting work after I'm in retirement in some other elementary schools and other districts. I got to observe that firsthand.
Mhm.
In our district, we've been doing that for several years, implementing it. Personal opinion, what a wonderful program, and working with the elementary students in that program.
Mhm.
It's just it ties into our character education program, and it's excellent.
Yes, very well stated. Thank you so much. Board Member Fritchie?
Yes, just wanted to make a quick comment about 9.09, the Chromebook replacement for grades 7 and 8. Yeah, I see some middle school teachers out here in the audience. This is one that was a question mark because 2 months ago, or 2 meetings ago, we approved the high school Chromebooks for 9 through 12. And so I was very happy to see this on the agenda, that the 7th and 8th graders will be receiving the same model of Chromebook that the high schools will get with the touch screens and the whole thing. So just good for them.
Very nice. Thank you for bringing that up, and I love seeing the cheers out in the audience, the high fives, the yes signs. It's really great. I see heads shaking back there. Love it when we can get it right, Kim. So thanks for bringing that up. So any further discussion? All right, let's go on ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of approving items 9.01 through 9.10, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Excellent work, board. Very good. Thank you for your due diligence. We're going to move now into number 10. This is items of information. These are presentations. So, Dr. Carpenter, is there anything we want to say here on this one here?
No, ma'am. Madam President, we'll move into the guidance counseling program eval report.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you.
Dr. Hill will be coming around.
Yes, come on up. Dr. Rexanne Hill and her team. All right.
Thank you. Madam President, board members, and Dr. Carpenter, I want to thank you all for this opportunity to share with you the school counseling presentation. I do have some counselors here with me tonight. They represent our leadership team, and so I'd like to have them introduce themselves and their school.
My name is Casey Blakemore. I'm the school counselor at Richardson Elementary.
My name is Rebecca Steele, and I'm a counselor at Lee Summit North. And hello, I'm Angela Martin, counselor at Pleasantly Middle School.
I'd also like to share with you, we have 5 other counselors that are sitting in the audience. I won't point them out, but I thank them for being here tonight.
Oh, please do. Point them out.
Point them out. Ladies, if you wouldn't mind standing, and I'll introduce you.
Yay.
We have Katie Knibe from Trail Ridge Elementary, Jessica Armstrong from Woodland Elementary, Jennifer Montgomery from Pleasantly Middle School, Daphne Mack from Lee Summit Elementary, and Kara Gruhala from Longview Farms Elementary. So thank you all for being here. School counseling is not the same as it used to be. And one of the biggest changes is they're no longer guidance counselors. So, and they get a little touchy if that happens to come out. So they are school counselors moving forward. From our days of test proctoring and just schedule changes, our school counselors do ever so much more. They have the caring and compassion for every student and staff member that walks through their offices, and they're constantly out in the halls recognizing and showing genuine care and concern. They are the champions of well-being, and they consistently remind us to practice good self-care, myself included. They remind me as well. They lead some of our problem-solving teams at the building, and they are just instrumental in sharing community resources and opportunities for students that may not have that access. I really would like to thank this group of men and women for all that they do, and their support is tireless, and they pick each other up when need, and they truly continue the good work. If you'd like to follow them, they are Twitter buddies, if you will. They tweet, and their hashtag is LSR7 Be Well. So we have a short little video. Our leadership team went to different schools to interview students and asked, what is a school counselor?
A school counselor helps people when they're sad, mad, angry, or happy, and a school counselor helps people do different things and teach them how to do different things.
It would be to help students have a firm foundation to go into life after high school, to be able.
We had several others, but it was hard to reduce it down to just a few for the presentation. So the Missouri Model School Counseling Program components, there are 5 components that our school counselors work on a daily basis. There's program foundation, school counseling curriculum, divided into elementary and secondary, as well as individual student planning, career development comes under that umbrella, responsive services, and support system. And so I'm going to ask our counselors to just tell you a little bit more about each of those components.
This will take about an hour. Is that okay? Okay, good.
Sure, that'll be early for us, so.
Okay. Not at all. So for School Counseling Program Foundation, we implement a developmental comprehensive program across our buildings that includes kind of a foundation in ethical standards, a focus on student outcomes across a variety of domains, being career development and awareness. Oh man, my heart is pounding. Career development and awareness. I'm just looking at Katie Collier. She's my rock right now. And as well as career, we do more than careers, social and emotional, and also we do academic development when it comes to all of our work. Our program goals are vital for us when it comes to implementing our program across the entire district. We also focus a lot on curriculum. A lot of the focus that we get sometimes is our responsive services when it comes to thinking about individual or small group counseling, but our curriculum is really our crux for prevention and proactive work. You can see a variety of topics for our curriculum on the Wordle that is up there, and that covers our career development, as I mentioned, social emotional development, as well as academic development, all under the umbrella of trying to help students reach their full potential, trying to help them be the best version of themselves.
Okay, one of my favorite components of counseling, of course I love them all, but I truly enjoy individual student planning. And this Wordle shows some of the things that fall under that umbrella of individual student planning. So that's really helping students prepare for life, both during high school and then once they get out of high school. So whatever their post-secondary plans may look like, whether they're college-bound, technical school, whether they're straight to the workforce, military, whatever that might include for those students, we're doing our best to help prepare them for life after high school. Some of the resources we have to do that at the younger grades, a program called Missouri Connections, kind of a career and college planning and post-secondary planning tool. And then once they get up to the middle and high school, a program called Navient Student to, again, kind of an electronic post-secondary planning tool and career planning tool. And then within the responsive services umbrella would be the individual counseling that we mentioned earlier, also any group counseling, and it goes beyond that too with any crisis response, suicide prevention, mental health awareness, talking about emotions and feelings, and just really anything that would fall under helping students, whatever walks through the door, whatever they bring to us, being there to assist those students and help them get through that and move on and grow from that.
As you can tell, we spend a lot of time working with our students, and our goal is to meet their emotional, social, and academic needs. we also do everything we can to support our buildings. And that includes our families, our teachers, obviously our students, but our community as well. And so system support includes many things. That could include supporting programs in our school, being participants in 504 meetings, and meeting with our teams of teachers that make our school run. So our number one goal is to be there for our kids, our teachers, our parents, and really build a culture of compassion at each of our buildings.
I'd like to highlight just a few of our department accomplishments last year. Ms. Daphne Manes, whom I introduced earlier, she was our LSR7 Learning for Life recipient award winner. Also, Nicole Gilbert, who was unable to be here tonight, she was an LSR7 Excellence in Teaching Award winner. We also have 100% participation in the Greater Kansas City School Counselor Association, and that is a great tribute to these men and women that serve our schools every day. And last year, we had 5 nominees for Counselor of the Year for our local organization that would go on to compete at a state level. So one final video.
They help a lot with incoming students, like from other districts or even just transferring or you're new to the school. They're kind of here to lean on and anything going on socially or at home.
School counselors teach us to be bully proof and not be rude to others. Counselors help you with your emotions and how you're feeling and with your friends.
The most important role of a school counselor is to give students a safe place to come if they're having a rough day or going through a difficult time, and just giving them a safe place to come and talk and get calmed down before going back to class.
I would have to say the adults in our buildings often go to the school counselors for a calm place or safe place to talk. So with that, this concludes our presentation. I want to thank you all for your support with our department, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Thank you so much. I've seen firsthand, I can't get over the many hats that counselors wear. They really wear a lot of hats during the day. And I'm quite thankful for you in our buildings in these schools. What you're doing for our students today and the service that you're providing is far greater than I think what many people may imagine. If we walked a day in your shoes, we'd all go home and go, whew. So thank you for your efforts. Board, any comments or anything?
I have one.
Yes, Mr. Murdoch.
Dr. Hill probably knew I was going to say something here. If I were to walk into our buildings throughout the district and ask our counselors, what's one more thing that you need to do your jobs effectively, what would you say?
Good question. I will let them share.
I hear somebody say, preach it.
This is your chance.
Yeah,
I
go
want
for it.
I want to know, yeah.
The number one thing that would help us impact students is to have more of us.
I was expecting that answer, so it's totally cool that you said that particular answer.
I think it's more appropriate that it came from them as well.
Yeah.
Other questions or thoughts?
I have one more. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No apologies.
2,474 students were served right last year. We have 18,000 students in the district, so we're sitting at 12 to 13% right of our students that are reporting problems. How underreported do you think some of the problems might be, since we're actually talking obviously about parent reporting and student reporting? So how many might be, and I know, Dr. Hill, we talked about it at the last meeting, right? How many kids might be falling through the cracks that we don't even know actually need assistance?
So in my opinion, one of the greatest things that counselors are teaching our students, as well as our teachers in the classroom, are to work together as students to lean upon each other, because what we know is our students sometimes confide in each other rather than going to that, even though they know a trusted adult is there. So I think that's powerful that our adults in the building are encouraging students to have the conversation, but then also to seek help from an adult. So if my daughter was to go to a friend and need some help, I know that these people have instilled to our students that if I can't help you, let's go find an adult. And I think that is the powerful message that we could send to our kids, is that help is there, and there's a trusted adult around the corner, and we just need to go get them and find them. Thank you.
Very nice. Any other questions? All right, excellent work. Excellent. Keep up the great work. Keep taking care of those kiddos like you do day in and day out. Thank you very much. Let's give them another round of applause. Okay, next up, we do have a presentation. Item 10.02, Communications Audit. Dr. Carpenter, anything you'd like to say here?
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. This time I'll turn it over to Kelly Wachel and our esteemed support coming out of Patron Insights. Rick, thank you for being here.
I wondered who that was.
Good evening. Tonight we are grateful to hear from Mr. Rick Nobles. Mr. Nobles is from the group Patron Insight, who has engaged with us over the past 3 to 4 months to work on a communications audit. So Rick is going to walk you through a presentation and then have a discussion with you about some of the findings that they discovered.
Thank you, Kelly and Dr. Carpenter. I'd just like to start by saying of the 500 or so school districts in Missouri, Lee Summit is the only one that I can come to and proudly say I live in Kansas because my grandkids go to Prairie View. So it's a wash. It's okay. What is a communication audit and what does it do? When we do communication audits for school districts, and this is the second one we've done for you, we review 3 large areas. The first one is to try and figure out what you think you are saying to your patrons and what you think they are hearing. We do that by interviewing what we call the inner core, which is the Board of Education, the cabinet, and a large group of key opinion leaders in the market. The second bucket, if you will, is what you're actually saying, and we review 18 months worth of outbound communications, electronic, social media, printed, everything that you do. It's a monumental task of going through and painstakingly trying to figure out how much communications or how much effort you are putting to different topics. The third area is what people are actually hearing. And in order to do that, we do a statistically accurate telephone survey accompanied by 4 online surveys, students, staff, parents, and community. So we're trying to get a 360-degree look at all of your communications. After we get those 3, we look at it to identify gaps. Where do gaps exist? Are people hearing the same thing that you think you're saying is usually what it comes down to. And then we make recommendations for progress. So our process that I just mentioned, the interviews, material review, the phone survey, and the companion online surveys, and then we'll report key findings from kind of each of those areas. One of the questions that we ask all of you on the Board of Education, the Cabinet, the key opinion leaders, is a question a newcomer to Lee Summit would hear. What would a newcomer to Lee Summit hear about the district? And we heard that they would hear mostly positive things about the district, that the district is the foundation of the magnet that is Lee Summit, drawing citizens and families and businesses and visitors to the Lee Summit area. So we heard a lot of positive things. We did not hear a lot of confluence on the part of the inner circle in terms of what you would like those people to be hearing, and it would be nice to have a common brand voice that you would like to hear people say back. If you're Volvo cars, you want to hear people say you're about safety. If you're Subaru cars, you want to hear people say you're about activities and outdoors. It would be nice for us to have in Lee's Summit a brand message that resonates with everyone, and it could be up on the wall, but a brand message that resonates with everyone, that someone shopping for a home in Lee's Summit and asking their neighbor, tell me about the school district, that's the message that they would hear. We heard that achievements, academics, and activities are what is currently being highlighted by the communications efforts. We also heard that potential new home buyers might hear that there are some questions about the direction that the district is headed in. And I don't think I'm telling you anything that you don't know there, just acknowledging that. Key findings, what are you saying now? Kelly had provided us with 5 key messages that the cabinet, had come up with: performance, innovation, equity, facilities planning, well-being, and communications. And looking at all of your outbound communication materials, what we were finding are these 6 areas are being predominantly reported on: building level news, events, and awards, district level news, staff profiles and accolades, student profiles and awards, equity, and then boundaries, because you had a large effort to communicate about the boundary issue last year. What you are saying now continued: while the current communications efforts are excellent, equity is the only key message area from those 5 that received consistent coverage. The work of the communications department since Kelly started has been overshadowed by those two topics, equity and boundaries. Again, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. The district website had the most consistency in terms of key message content on those 5 areas. But certainly social media and some of the outbound efforts have been dominated by other topics. Other things that these are key findings: what people hear, what people think, and what people believe. It's a great school district. Patrons continue to give you high marks for the district being the engine that drives growth, high marks for teachers and extracurricular activities. They think the district is doing a great job in preparing kids for the future. In terms of communications and strategic direction, patrons are generally satisfied, but there are some dissenting voices. Significant segments of the patron population that say they need more information, or they're not quite comfortable where the communication is today. We know communication content is being disseminated. We know that some patrons simply aren't buying that because we looked at 18 months worth of information. We know there's been a lot of communication about facilities, for example, and we're not hearing people kind of regurgitate that, if you will. Communication gaps. This is just a kind of a preamble. We do not believe the gaps are reflective of the current communication department's efforts or the efforts of Janice Phelan. An understaffed and overworked department has made a valiant effort in the face of lots of adversity, as you well know. Communication gaps continued. By and large, the communication gaps are the result of a confluence of events outside the control of the comm department, including equity issues, as we heard tonight, trust issues dating back to prior administration, to the David McGehee era, a shift in communication leadership and strategic direction that hasn't had time to have the desired effect. I think Kelly's been on the job 8 months. It takes a while to turn the Titanic, if you will, and move towards strategic communication. And then some leftover challenges from the past communication department shortcomings. And again, I'm not picking on Janice. Janice was a one-man band in a band that should have had 5 or 6 people. And we've been working with the district for over 20 years, and we've been saying that for over 20 years. So kind of nothing new there. Recommendations: expand the size of the communications department. I won't get into that, but you have before you a 50-page report that'll detail some of the specific recommendations that we had. One thing that we pride ourselves on bringing to the table is the fact that we work with 167 school districts in 13 states. So we see an awful lot of best practices. We work with virtually every school district in the Kansas City area, including the monster that is Blue Valley, that has more communications people than I can count. I don't even know how many people they have working in the comms department, but it's a monstrously large department, and they're incredibly effective in what they do. Overarching goal of the district has to be focused on equity and trust. Again, it goes back to what we heard from your patrons tonight. The strategic planning process, and I know that you're getting ready to embark on a new strategic planning process, should have trust at its cornerstone. That is the underlying issue, the underlying term that we heard everywhere, that there is a breakdown in trust in the district, and going to have to mend that before you can move forward. With an expanded staff, continue efforts to focus on things like future-ready well-being and innovations, which is what you told us that in 5 years you wanted people to be talking about in terms of the Lee Summit School District. Future-ready, taking risks, living on the edge, being innovative. I would argue that the things that historically you have been known for is all of those things. Questions?
Board members, are there any questions or comments? Very thorough report, very nice. Very nice. Yes, Board Member Smith.
I was just going to say, you really just kind of took the words.
I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate, no, that's fine. No, I have read it. I need to read it more thorough, just recently got it, but I did go through it today, and on my iPhone, so it's a little harder to do, so I will.
It's a lot on an iPhone.
It's a lot on an iPhone. Battery about went down. But no, thank you for your hard work, and I was very interested in seeing what those feedback responses were. Thank you.
A lot of good data.
Board Member Murdoch, you have a question or two, I know you do.
No, I just have one. I have one quick comment. Towards the back of the report, there were 10 questions, obviously, that were asked during the survey, I believe, and then they're coded out. The audience probably hasn't seen it yet, in terms of people who felt they didn't get enough information on a particular topic within the district. And I just think it's important that everybody realize that in every single category except one that we asked the question, we had a nearly 50% response rate, at least from one of the survey groups, saying that they're not getting enough information about a particular topic, whether that topic be facilities, whether it's school news, staff success stories, all that kind of stuff. People in the community are saying they're not getting enough information. And I know that it's been a hotly debated issue over the last couple of days, obviously, as to what we're doing in terms of trying to help Kelly out here. But I think that the audit at least gives the basis for the community has said they want more information, they want more transparency. The only way to do that is to help her. So I hope everybody understands that as we go through this process.
Well said.
Yes, very nice, thank you. Yes, Board Member Fritchie?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the comment that I don't think anything that you've given us tonight really surprised us. I don't know about you all, but I think that's right in line kind of with what we have been thinking and what we have been saying. And honestly, Kelly, I don't know how she keeps her head above water, because her little legs are paddling all the time. She's always working. She and I've had conversations too this year about, the fact that she just doesn't have enough time to get it all done in terms of, getting all the school news out there that we'd really love to see and things like that. So in her favor, I'd say, yes, she does really need help. The big question mark is, where do you get the money to do it? And, how do you prioritize that money to do it? So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Questions? Anyone else?
I have a comment, Madam.
Yes, okay.
Mr. Noble, talk a little bit about, we have a CSIP and it sunsets or we may sunset it early. I think it has another year. It's been my experience in the 2 years that it really hasn't served as a daily driving document. Talk a little bit about what a strategic plan with trust as a cornerstone might look like for this community.
I think it begins with transparency. One of the frustrating things for me seeing this, and like I say, you've been a client of ours for 20 some odd years. The information that I got in the last 3 months is not what I would have heard 10 years ago. I would have heard unequivocally it's the best district in the state of Missouri, and I have repeated that in every corner of the state because I've had clients ask me, what's the best school district in Missouri? And I've said Lee Summit. You have a CAC that's been in place since 1956. I know that because I met with one of your CAC members when we started the company, and I have gone on to borrow that and start CAC groups all over Missouri and Kansas, and you're a leader in that. And it's unfortunate that you were kind of no longer seen as that leading edge, future-thinking district. I don't think that is accurate. I think that there are a lot of great things going on in Lee Summit that for whatever reason people aren't paying attention to. I think they're getting clouded by the other issues that were being talked about tonight. So I think from a strategic planning process, one of the things that you need to go back to is the idea of transparency and trust, so that people give you the benefit of the doubt that when you say you're doing something, you're actually doing it. But trust as a cornerstone of a strategic plan imbues all areas. Every bit of communication you do, every bit of work that you do in committees, you put it out there in a way that's unambiguous, and you let everybody take a peek behind the curtain and see what the wizard is doing. And I think that's the cornerstone that you're looking for.
As a follow-up to that question, Rick, you've talked about the difference in communication strategy as it relates to Janice Phelan, who I thought was phenomenal, and when she worked with me, she was phenomenal, I might add. And before she left, I said, Janice, stay, she could work for me forever. And then Kelly came on board, and I say, Kelly can work for me forever. But they're very, very different. Talk about the difference in style between the two and how that matters right now.
Well, I think, and I've known Janice for a long time, I think Janice at heart is a reporter. That was her background before she began to do this. And I think she did an excellent job of reporting the news of the Lee Summit School District. Awards and accolades and activities and sports and all of those things. She knew exactly what the media wanted to hear and would print and would publish and would air, and she did a great job of responding to all those media requests and doing that. I think Kelly is more of a strategic communicator. Kelly has, I think, a little bit more of a act as opposed to react mindset in terms of we're here today and we need to be here tomorrow, and there's some steps that I need to take to strategically communicate what's going on in the district in order for us to move the brand to where I want to move it. It would be nice to see her get the chance to do that as opposed to putting out all the fires that she's having to put out.
Bob White.
Mr. Noble, back to your discussion about the strategic plan, do you think it's possible to undergo that strategic plan initiative with just Kelly and an assistant in the office?
Well, I think you can undergo the strategic plan initiative. I don't think you can go through implementation of a strategic plan with the staff that you have, no.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Vice President Clark.
I'm sorry, I didn't have my
It's all right.
light on. I had my
I saw your hand come up.
Thanks for being here, Rick.
Jackie.
Good to see you.
You too.
You've given us, I think, some solid recommendations, and you mentioned the brand message what would you consider, and I'm going to say in the metro area, what district is working the brand message the best right now?
Blue Valley.
Okay.
In fact, we did a comm audit for Blue Valley 2 years ago, and one of the things we heard from people was, for the love of God, would you quit repeating that same thing?
Oh.
But it's true that when you have repeated something to the point where you're sick of it, your audience has heard it for the first time. But they do a phenomenal job with that, as does Park Hill. Olathe does a pretty good job.
And then as we think about the trust and transparency issues, that we had our third goal, the board goal that we worked on, was to create good two-way communication, constructive two-way communication. And is there a district in your mind that has weathered challenges and was able to move forward successfully? And in doing so, what did their team look like?
That's a really good question. Give me a minute to think about that. Goes back a few years, but Columbia, Missouri, is always undergoing challenges. Anytime you have a university town, you have a lot of challenges. More recently, Lawrence, Kansas. You may have seen that there was a riot, so to speak, at their school board about a year ago. I was so fortunate that I was there and got to experience that firsthand. It was not as scary as the media made it out to be, but there was an organized protest about that. That is a community that has a lot of very smart people connected to the university. They're very opinionated. They come out and they like to argue, and so there's a lot of things that have been going on in Lawrence. I think they've turned the corner, if you will. I don't think they've solved their issue, but I think through diligence and through transparency and through responding to people who were up in arms, if you will, even though the people didn't go about it the right way, the district responded the right way. So I think Lawrence is a good example.
And as I think about stakeholder groups, as you mentioned, we've got the CAC, we've got a lot of great groups that are in place, and I think that they have good interaction with the district leadership and the board. One of the groups that we haven't really spent much time on, and Kelly, I'm not adding this to your plate, are alumni groups. And I know that you've spoken on those previously. Give us your thoughts in relationship to the work that you guys have done now twice for us. I just haven't seen that really emerge as a discussion point.
I have not seen alumni groups emerge as a discussion point. I know you have them. I know they're very active. I'll tell you that one of the pilot programs that we are working on, and we usually introduce pilot programs on an annual basis, and we usually choose one or two districts to be guinea pigs to implement them. One of the programs that we worked on this year is a Parent of Alumni program. Our two pilot districts were Blue Valley and Rolla, Missouri. And the idea is to do something to capture empty nester parents when they become empty nesters, to bind them to the district. You have people who are brand ambassadors. Their kids have gone through 13 years in your district. They're rah-rah. They're, at every fundraiser. They're doing everything. Their last child graduates and they die. And I can say that personally because it happened to us 6 years ago. And I haven't heard from the Shawnee Mission School District in 6 years. And there wasn't a meal served there for 13 years. I didn't have a spatula in my hand. We were on every booster club, PTA did everything, and they just quit communicating with us. And it's a strategical error on their part. You have a lot of empty nesters in Lee's Summit, so I think that's one area of alumni that you could add to your cadre, if you will. I know that every Lee's Summit alumni person that I have talked to loves the district. And I talked to a guy this morning, I didn't even know went to the district, told him I was going to be here, a guy that graduated with you, Jackie, and he was talking about his love for the district. And we have, I think, 3 clients who are former administrators in the district who speak so highly of the district. So you have this kind of outpouring of support and love that is just kind of getting blown away by the fog of all this other stuff.
I'd love to comment just right in with that. There's 4 of us that sit up here that are Lee Summit High School alums, and I've worked very closely with the Lee Summit Educational Foundation over the past since its existence, on and off advisory board, serving as board liaison, and they do have a fairly active alumni groups. I think it's not as developed as maybe Cheryl Frankie would like it to be. Again, it's a little bit of a manpower issue as well. But they do have alumni groups, because my class of 76, we do a lot of things. We try to contribute as much as we possibly can. So, but it certainly is an area, even I've sat down and visited with Cheryl about, it is certainly an area that needs a lot of attention. And I'm really glad that you brought that up tonight. And thank you, Jackie, for those questions. Those were great.
And then I just have one other
Yes.
question, because you used the word the fog. You know, we are all approached as board members. It doesn't matter, you know, family, friends, faculty, you name it. And, you know, we study very hard, and we have a lot of information that comes our way. And I always, well, maybe it's because of age, I say, well, let me check into that, because I will freely admit I don't remember every detail of every discussion that we have, and I think other of my colleagues would agree with that. And so there's always a lot of stuff going on, usually around social media, and I know you guys looked at that. What would you consider a best practice resource for knocking that kind of stuff down? You know, kind of a, I don't know, fact versus fiction. I don't know. What kind of devices do you see used?
I think it has to be a very multi-tiered approach. You do have a lot of misinformation happening, and I think you have a lot of people who really aren't that far apart philosophically. They're just interpreting information differently. I don't know, and I would defer to Kelly. She would know more about this than I would. I've never been a school PR person, but I would love to see everyone getting on the same definition of what some of these things are, if you want to speak.
One of the things that has been a strategy, particularly one of the pages, the CFMP parent Facebook group in particular, it's grown by over 4,000 members. For example, the moderators who co-moderate that will sometimes reach out to me and say, Kelly, can you provide some information so we can provide it to the members of this Facebook group? In fact, that happened just this week. Kelly, can you give us some guidance on a couple things? So absent me being in lots of social media spaces on behalf of the district, we're working with moderators, but that's not maybe the best practice. That's good for what we have now. I think we have some room to grow in how we're active in lots of other spaces. I think that we've talked about whether it's private entities or even school districts, have a team of people that monitor social media 24/7 and are there to specifically address rumor, combat rumor, and address them within 10 minutes. So our response time on Facebook is within 30 minutes. That's something I'm really proud of. I think I'm on my phone all day and all night. At the same time, we can do a little bit more strategically when we respond and actually be in other spaces that we don't get to be on just because of the challenge of manpower.
I would just add that one of the positions that we recommend adding to the communications department is a digital director who is tasked with doing that. That's a best practice that we see in a lot of school districts who are your size or larger and who aim to be the district that you are. So.
I was going to say, I was looking, I had a little research pulled together, and of the districts that are similarly sized, just a quick tally, there were 13 that have between 4 and 6 people in their departments, and only 3 that had 2 to 3. And I think we may be the outlier on that research with 1.
I agree.
All right, some really great discussion up here. Board Member Smith?
Just real quick, because I think both of you answered that question. I was just curious how media has changed. I mean, in the 20 years, and that affects, I mean, from social media to tweets to 24-hour news to turning into whatever channel your opinion agrees with. How have you dealt with that dealing with it with school districts?
I mean, for one thing, it is a numbers game. 20 years ago, you had 6 to 8 reporters. Today, you have 6 to 8,000, because everybody who has a Twitter account or a Facebook account or anything else becomes a source of news in their reporting. So having, at least an adequate staff to monitor some of this stuff has got to be the first step. And then there are some best practices, from just a structure standpoint, when you engage and when you don't engage. And the goal is usually, let's get the facts out there. Let's not get into an argument, but let's continually push the facts. Let's make sure those are transparent. Let's make sure that people can verify those.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Excellent job, board members. Thank you very, very much for being with us. Kelly, as always, thank you for your hard work. Would you like to add something?
One thing I wanted to maybe possibly address, I think Ms. Fritchie had a comment about how to pay for it, because as you see, not allocated requests, we do ask for some help in the public relations department. One of the things that you'll see is a line item of $120,000. So I wanted to clarify a little bit and be very transparent about what that was for. So one of the things I got to hear teachers talk this week in the Common Ground and Coffee Ground sessions, and they're asking for smaller class sizes and more counselors. We heard more counselors. And one thing I want to say is I hope it's not seen as an or. I want it to be seen as an exchange or an and, meaning I would love to give every school another teacher and another counselor, and I would gladly give up any additional people to provide that for our schools. I just want to make it be seen as it's an and, not an or, and I hope that message is conveyed to the teaching staff and to our counselors who are here that I would gladly give all of our schools more people in exchange. I'll not take a person if they can get more people. But one of the things that you'll see in the recommendations that Rick gives you is descriptions of a communications department structure. And I think he lines out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks that could have roles within the department. Within that line item, we're proposing an assistant director position, and that salary would be somewhere between $60,000, $70,000 plus benefits, so you're around probably $90,000. And then also, I have a current administrative secretary, so maybe moving that position to a communications specialist, and then me going without a secretary. And so that would be another additional $10,000, $15,000, which puts you to that $110,000, $120,000 range. So I hope is that helpful for clarification about what that line item means? What page is that on? It's not in here. It's actually the non-allocated request that you're gonna be asking to be approved in the next section.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was in an email to you guys as well earlier this week.
Thank you for clarifying that, Kelly. Appreciate it. Always appreciate your transparency. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments? All right, outstanding job. I look forward to, I really will be truthful, I skimmed because I did get it real late, not to any fault of anyone's, but I look forward to taking spring break and diving into this as well, and really getting a glimpse of what's happening.
If you have any questions.
Yeah, and I just want to add that Kelly has been such a great addition to our district. We really do appreciate all the work that she's doing.
Thank you, I recommended her.
Well, very good. Taking credit there, that's all right. All righty, so we are now ready to move into items for decision. This is point 11. Just a reminder that each and every one of these will need a motion and a second, will allow for discussion, and we will need to take a vote on these. So I'm just going to go right on into these. Item 11.01. This is the proposed 3/8 of a cent sales tax increase for pre-K expansion. Dr. Carpenter, is there anything you would like to add to this?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, Madam President. Madam President, we have been in ongoing communication with the mayor of Kansas City's office relative to his pre-K proposal. And it's become apparent with it looming on the ballot for all Kansas City residents, and we do have, at best estimate, about 400 plus households representing, 200 and some odd households representing 400 and some odd students in our district that have said address. The mayor is proposing a 3/8 cent sales tax. I've been giving you all information along about why that is challenging for us as school district superintendents to support. Number one, it's the regressive nature of the tax. Number two, it creates a board that resembles that of a TIF commission with the majority of its membership appointed by the mayor of Kansas City. And with that being said, we believe that that representation goes to you all as school board members, and you get to exhibit that local control. In addition, if you take a community like Lee's Summit, it still has not been clarified to us as superintendents whether or not our students with a Kansas City address can take part in a school like Great Beginnings that does not have a Kansas City address. That is yet to be clarified for us. So with that being said, we don't see, and this is the opinion of most superintendents, how this is in keeping with the plans we put forth for communities relative to pre-K. I've shared with you video footage of the press conference that was held in this area, and I've shared with you op-eds that have been provided in the paper, and also a chart stating the superintendent's position. And at this time, along with at least 5 other districts who have students with a Kansas City address, we're asking you to solidify some organized opposition of the plan as written.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Dr. Carpenter, for that clarity. May we take some suggestions? Do we have comments here? It looks like maybe... Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, I do need, I'm asking for a motion and a second, please.
I move that the board formally express its opposition to the City of Kansas City's proposed 3/8 cent sales tax increase for pre-K expansion that will be placed on the April 2019 ballot.
Second.
All right, very good. I have a motion and a second. Now, board, we may discuss that. Questions? All right, I believe Board Member Doan.
Dr. Carpenter, you spoke at the legislative breakfast about maybe those 200 houses getting double taxed, or?
Yeah.
do you-
Well, no, that was another issue. That was relative to the Senate bill and the 6307 state adequacy piece that would allow for tax credits. But given that point, I know it's off topic right now. We were excited to hear from Senator Searpour's office yesterday. And in that communication, he verified that what I stated was correct and that he's offering a substitute amendment.
Awesome, okay.
Very good. Yes, Board Member White?
I just want everybody to realize that if we pass this item, we are not opposed to early childhood education. That's not it. What we're opposed to is the way that would be disseminated by the Kansas City, Missouri mayor's office. There are some very easy tweaks that they could make to this that would make it palatable to all of the superintendents who would adjoin Kansas City and have residents in Kansas City. That would be beneficial to children and to the children of Kansas City as well. So it's just a matter of we really do not wish for our local control to go away to another district, to another place, to determine our students' future. I just don't think that's something we want to support.
Thank you for clarifying that for our audience. I think it's important they know we do support that pre-K. All right, any other comments? Board Member Smith?
Just real quick, Dr. Carpenter, I think I asked this question of you recently about, okay, it's just not the adjoining school districts that are point. I thought it was too many buttons. It's
getting late.
Where's that communication guy? But you indicated to me in just our conversation that there are some help out there from other entities that are also opposed to this. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Multiple school districts have passed a similar motion. There are also EDCs that are impacted that have passed similar motions, as well as chambers of commerce.
All right, and Board Member Clark, Vice President Clark, sorry.
Well, I think our North Kansas City colleague is here still with us, is that smiling. When we were at Legislative Day last month, this was a topic among the Kansas City School District representatives, the North Kansas City folks, and one of the things that's a big concern, and I think this is important for taxpayers to hear, is that we haven't had a voice in developing this program. And clearly Dr. Carpenter stated we really won't have much of a voice in its administration, and it might be just a bit of a structure and as frustrating as the opportunity we have to sit on the TIF commission locally. So I want to underscore what I think Bob and Dennis have echoed. We are fully supportive of early education and understand its benefits, but this just isn't the right approach.
Very good. Thank you, Vice President Clark. Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. I will now take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, signify by saying same thing. All right, excellent, excellent discussion. Next, we move on to item 11.02. This is to approve the compensation and benefit package for 2019 2020. Man, that sounds like a long ways away, but it's here. Dr. Carpenter, would you like to share some background information for us?
Absolutely. So first off, I want to thank all of those who worked so diligently in terms of Team Lee Summit. I think that there's several members in the audience. Thank you for your service. And the only other thing that I would add is that we're excited about what we've been able to put forth for our teachers. I think when you look at the numbers here, you're going to see that our recommendation involves a salary increase for administrators of about 2.5%, professional schedule 2.75%, support schedule overall 3.5%, and our teaching staff 3.4%. What does that mean? We've put that into the existing salary schedule, adding it to the base. And what that's going to allow for, close your ears, North Kansas City, it's going to allow for us to be the first district in the region that has a starting salary that has eclipsed the $40,000 mark. That will put us at about $40,100, I believe. So I want to thank everyone for their work. I think that's significant. That's a step in the right direction. And I want to thank the team for its work. So the recommendation is there for you all in your consideration.
Very nice. Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. At this time, I will accept a motion and a second so that we may vote on this item.
I'd be happy to do that. Madam President, I would like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the Team Lee Summit salary recommendations as presented.
Very nice. I have a motion and a second here, and is there any further discussion?
Just very quickly, Madam President.
You got it.
Most people out here are, or many of them are employees of the school district, but one of the things that is Team Lee Summit is in my mind, unique in the Kansas City area. And my recollection, it kind of got started in the mid-90s, 95, 96, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's not just made up of certified staff, it's representation from across the board. And you have multiple meetings throughout the year. And the recommendations that we have tonight came from that team. And I think that's another thing that's unique to our school district in being able to do that. And I just wanted to, because I know sometimes, well, there's a lot of teams out there, but this was a...
I appreciate you commenting on that, and I bet you Julie can chime in here as well. It was really cool, for a lack of better words. It was just cool to watch this team work together. It was really every entity in this district working together around the table, and it was just cool. That's all I have to say. It was really awesome. So, Board Member White.
I wanted to point out that if the group that does this, if they're predominantly teaching staff, could have easily opted to have most of the money go into teacher salaries, but they didn't do that. I think they recognize the value of our support staff, which is probably one of the things that helps our teachers to do their job at the level that they do. And we also recognized, I think, as a teaching staff, that our support staff is very poorly paid. And that for what they do, and I can speak to that directly because I have a daughter-in-law who is a focus room facilitator. And I know for what they are asked to do, the pay that they get is barely compensation. And I was really pleased to see that our teachers recognize that and put a greater piece of the raise into the elevation of our support staff salaries. I think that is commendable, and I think it's something that we should be proud of.
Well said, well said. All right, let's go to Board Member Doan.
I kind of wanted to reiterate what we were all saying, but also wanted to point out that the collaboration and the respect that we all have for each other on this team is truly amazing. And I did get it passed that the board is going to get a doubling their salary. Yeah, so that's good.
Oh, wow.
So nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the respect of that whole team.
Very nice. All right, and Vice President Clark.
Nobody's mentioned this, but it was mentioned earlier in the evening. There's also some extra money in there for extra duty.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
As we pass that down, it does flow through the extra duty schedule. Good point.
Yes, thank you.
And I'd be remiss also if I did not honor the work that Deborah Delsim has done in leading this team as a new HR lead in our district. Thank you, Dr. Delsim.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Carpenter.
It's a whole team, as everyone said. It's fantastic.
All right, and Mr. Smith.
Well, I think this might come later, but it's also, and it's traditionally what's done, thank you. What is done is that, and I could be wrong, but I think we always prepare in case we need we have some growth or some change. I believe, and this may be later on down in the package, but there's 5 FTEs that are sitting there in case we would need it in case of emergency. That's correct?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion? With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a vote now. Board members, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Outstanding work. Thank you to everyone involved. We're going to move down to item number 11.03. This is to approve the reemployment of administrative staff and contracts. So can I have a motion and a second here?
I move that the board approve the reemployment of the administrative staff listed as presented.
Second.
Very nice, very nice. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'm seeing Board Member Smith, yes? Want to say so? Or I forgot to turn your light out, sorry. Any further discussion? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take a vote then. All those for approving the reemployment of the administrative staff listed as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Very nice, motion does carry. Good job. Let's go on to item 11.04. That is to approve the reemployment of probationary certified staff listed as presented. So I'll take a motion for that.
I'll do that. I move that the board approve to reemploy the probationary certified staff list as presented.
Excellent. Motion and second. Do we have any further discussion? All righty. With no further discussion, we shall take a vote. All those approving the reemployment of the probationary certified staff list as presented this evening, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, signify by same sign. Excellent job. We're going to go to item 11.05, and I believe at this time I am going to toss this over to Dr. Carpenter.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, board members, through our annual process, the budget managers submit requests for FTEs for the upcoming school year. We had requests submitted in the district totaling $2.2 million. We had a work session put forth this evening by Mr. Metz. Thank you for your work, sir. And in that work, we talked about this use of funds and the addition of staff and how that's a gift that in essence keeps on giving because it flows through in terms of steps, and once it's in place, minus some issue or another, it's in place. Things that we don't like to think about, i.e. declines in resources. So with that being said, I have cautioned since I've been here the district in terms of additional staff and the role that that's playing in our budget long-term and our fund reserves. So I'm proud to say that this is the smallest non-allocated package that's been put forth before you in a while. And with this package of non-allocated requests, I think we have looked at some needs across our district, and I appreciate lots of commentary from today, and some I'll talk about in my closing comments. But I appreciate this notion that it's never an either or. And in this era, Mr. Rick looks like he's gone, of social media and sound bites and no respect for fact, it's optional, then we're in this space that we try to reduce complex problems to an either or. And you can't just reduce complex problems to an either or. And I think once we do that, we've lost our way as an organization. So what you have before you are some non-allocated requests and the estimated financial impact of each. We're asking that you consider the STA web stipend. That just puts it in line with the other web stipends across our buildings in our district. Lee Summit High School moving to a full-time look at after school in terms of a supervisor for those activities. Dr. Falkenberry, if he's still back there, I think he'd agree that that's a busy place and those supports are needed in the afternoon. Ms. Wachel just talked about the public relations, $120K, and what that could mean for getting us to some point of not even average in the area of communications. You know, it's interesting, when I came, people said average stands out in Lee Summit. I was cautioned that average sticks out. But as I look at this particular area and a priority that the board has set for itself each year since I've been here, as I look at this area, and in spite of doing everything I put on a growth plan for this board from an evaluative standpoint, I still didn't get any movement. I can speak to my own evaluation. Still didn't get any movement on it. To get to almost average in terms of this request is not unrealistic. It's not an unrealistic request for this board. So if you look around and you look at Great Beginnings pairs, we want to offer 2 more of those, occupational therapists as well, Head Start parent educator, traveling orchestra teacher, strength and conditioning stipends, and an ELA teacher. And of course, you look at the Section 504 coordinator, as so many more of our kids continue to look for those 504 services. And if you look at the red amounts on the right, you'll see that some of those expenditures have reimbursements associated with them. So it's a tough decision, but out of $2.2 million in requests, we're asking the board to support what we believe to be in the neighborhood of $333,000 of those requests.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any discussion here? Actually, I believe I need a motion first. A motion and a second?
Yes, you do. I move that the board approve the HR non-allocated requests as presented.
Second.
Thank you very much, Vice President Clark. Board Member White. Now, is there any further discussion? Yes, Board Member Murdoch.
So just a couple of things. Number one is we obviously have things that don't mesh together in terms of that you can't do everything. If you've looked at over the course of the last month or so, the things that people say that we need to be able to do, and by the way, don't take this as the board doesn't agree with that these are things that we need to do, and I think that that sometimes gets lost in this. Do we need to try to lower class sizes? Yes, we do, right? We absolutely do. Do we need more paras? Yes. Do we need more counselors, interventionists? Yes, and I said that last year even during my run for the school board, is that we need that. I can respect the fact of what that is going to end up costing. Do we need more early childhood? Yes, people have said that. Do teachers want to get paid more? Yes. Do we need more communication? Yes. Do we need more transparency? Yes. But obviously we can't do all those things at once, right? So I respect the fact of what this list entails. Some of the people who thought that we were going to pay $120,000 just for one public relations assistant director, and then where I get a little bit fired up on is they were given the information that that was not accurate, did not correct that particular narrative that they had already put out there, that it's for two different positions. Do I think that we need those? Yes. If you heard at the board candidate forum last night, I thought this was telling, by the way. Multiple people were asked, do we need to hire these particular individuals? A couple people in the audience, and I was listening in the audience too, by the way, were like, no, we don't need to do that. And the very next thing that they say is, throughout the entire question and answer, is we need more communication, right? And so those two answers don't go together. We can't have both of those things. So I think that the communications positions are warranted. I like all of these things on here, with one caveat, and I'm not changing what I absolutely support this recommendation. We have to continue to figure out, and I'm going to look at Mr. Metz on this one. So sorry. Can you figure out a way for our district next year to get to a couple of extra counselors, because mental health is where it's at right now for our kids, and we've got to figure out a way. And that's not a knock on anybody, by the way. Okay, I hope everybody understands that. But we have to figure out a way to get a couple more counselors into the buildings, particularly in our middle schools and to our 4th through 6th graders. And then we've already talked about that we're trying on early childhood, that we've got to continue to expand those particular programs. And so I just hope that as we go through the process next year as well, that, man, we give some serious consideration to figuring out a way, even if it's, and I know teachers will hate this because I had to travel as well, by the way, when I was teaching, even if it's somebody to rotate between a couple of different buildings, it's better than nothing. And so I hope we can get there as we move on to next year.
So great points, Mr. Murdoch. Here's what I would add to that. Here's what I would add to that. I spent 3 days this week engaged in 2 evenings and 1 morning with staff. And throughout those engagements, we heard about 3 or 4 things. You mentioned them all in terms of the list you just went through. And sometimes there is no consistency. It's kind of based on who you're talking to in terms of which one matters most. So what I've committed to do with the staff is put out a thought exchange so we can start generating some conversation about which of those 5 or 6 things rise to the top. Because ultimately, when you talk about class size, and Mr. Metz gave you those figures, and how just reducing by 1 or adding 1 teacher to each elementary school, you're already at $2 million. And when you talk about additional counseling supports, we all agree SEL learning is where it is right now, the social emotional piece. But when you think about that, there are 2 things that I would say. I would say, number 1, Mr. Murdoch, I'll repeat, we can't do it all. We have to prioritize. Number 2, what I would say is we have added things that serve in those same areas. So we hear library and media specialists a lot, and they're at half-time. Well, we've added a full-time library and media clerk. So how do those things play together when we go to full-time library unless we add librarian, unless we add on top of ads? And those are the types of things. Another example is with the counseling. And counselors do a unique job. We had a great report tonight. But the other piece is when we add ed therapists and we get those folks who can go out and be liaisons with our families, it's in the same arena. It's in the same arena, and so that price tag continues to go up. So what I've committed to is just hearing the voice of the staff by way of a thought exchange and being, again, extremely transparent with which themes rise to the top, which ones rise to the top.
Okay, very nice. Board Member Fritchie?
Yes, I just wanted to say a couple of things about, to our audience. Every Friday, the board members get what's called the board update. And in that update, the superintendent gives us information on different items that he wants to provide for us. And we've received information and also information this week regarding, non-allocated requests. And several of us, we have the opportunity to ask these questions prior to the board meeting, to send those to Dr. Carpenter via Ms. Ismert.
And to ask those hard questions, like why are we spending $120,000 on and that's where we get our answers, and that's where we develop how we make our decisions up here. Is there's a lot of information that goes on behind the scenes that you all don't get, and is that is that transparent? Well, I don't know. There's some things that can't be discussed prior to a board meeting, so you have to think about those things. But I would just ask, Dr. Carpenter, you put together some information for us about holding back some FTEs, and I think Mr. Smith commented on that. And could you give a little explanation for that? Because I think this would help relieve some of the stress out there regarding class sizes and the start of the next school year.
So probably one of the most burdensome things for a school building to hear at the start of the year is that your numbers didn't make, and we're going to pull one from one grade and place it in another in terms of a teacher. And then on top of that is not only is it from one grade to another, but sometimes numbers up in another building, and it's a pull from one building to another. So going into the new school year, we'll have 5 FTEs, I believe Mr. Metz banked. Is that correct? 5. And with that 5, given how well we project our staffing needs based on students, that can allow for less of that type movement at the beginning of the year.
Very nice. Thank you, Kim, for sharing that process with our audience here tonight. And are there any other comments or questions? I believe you have a motion and a second. We're going to go ahead and take a vote now. All those in favor of approving the new personnel requests for 2019-20, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign, please. Excellent, very nice. That has carried. Next up, we are going to go into our personnel report, and again, I will ask Dr. Carpenter to pass that on here. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, you have a personnel report before you that we're extremely excited about. It's a couple special things there with your support this evening. You have your routine personnel requests, but 2 I'd like to bring your attention to, and with your support, we're going to have some exciting news. John Falkenberry is sitting there in the back, and I've been making requests to get invitations to parties because I know with his long outstanding tenure, there'll be many parties during the spring. And hopefully I'll get an invite, Dr. Falkenberry. But in addition to that, we have a responsibility to keep the ship moving, if you will. And we're excited about a recommendation that's before you for Dr. Twilliger. And she's a familiar name there in the building because she currently serves as AP. She brings with her a wealth of experience. In addition to her interview, I had a sit down with her, and I feel extremely confident in her commitment to the young folks at Lee Summit High School. I also feel very, very committed to her willingness to take each child where they are and assist them in moving in the best direction that is possible for them as learners. She's exciting to me. She's been nothing but a fixture in that building in my 18 months, so she will be my recommendation for Lee Summit High School with your support this evening of the personnel report. In one other area, we've had an interim nutrition director, and that was a current staff member, Ms. Lori Danella, and she served so well, we're gonna recommend her full-time. She served so well as an interim that we're going to have her in the permanent seat also with your support this evening. I had a chance to attend one of her afternoon student groups in which they had a chance to taste new product and to see a room full of young people engaging in new food product. And I caught it just right because we were exploring some new fish nuggets made with real fish. So that was my dinner for the evening, Ms. Danella. It was good stuff. And also these seasoned raisins, lemon flavor and strawberry flavor raisins. I want to see the stuff in the lunchroom. But no, on a serious note, she's already implemented sophisticated salad bars that my children are coming home talking about. My son, He had a chance to be the news broadcaster at his school, and he got to report on the new salad bar at Richardson. So that's super exciting. Thanks for your work already, and we trust that you'll support our personnel actions this evening, Madam President, board members.
All right. Woo! Settle down there, Dr. Carpenter. I can tell you're excited. That's awesome. Good job. So I would like to get a motion and a second, if I can, please, here.
I recommend that we approve the personnel transactions and contracts issued.
Second.
Excellent. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Dr. Del Sim, is there anything you'd like to add? I'd love to hear from you tonight. What would you like to share?
I would like to add, earlier this afternoon, Dr. Falkenberry and I had the privilege of introducing Dr. Twilliger to the Lee Summit High School staff, and they gave her a standing ovation with her.
So I believe that's due now. Dr. Twilliger, would you please stand up so that we can all say hello? Yay! That is fantastic. And also, while we're in the mood to applaud here at 10:30 tonight, I'd really love to have Lori Danella stand up as well, please, so we can give her a big round of applause for all her efforts as well. Anything else, Dr. Del Sim, that you would like to add?
Thank you very much.
All right, great work in that department. Keep up that great work and bringing these wonderful people to leadership positions. With that said, I believe I have a motion and a second. So, and I believe Board Member Clark would like to say something.
I just want to amend the number that you've shared tonight. There's actually 5 tigers up here. Just want you to know that. We love our alma mater, and we love all the schools too. But
Are there 5? Oh, there sure are. Jackie, there are 5 of us. Wow, yes. I did. I thought Julie was still at Lee Summit High School. All right. Good job. All right. I need to take a vote now. Thank you. Oh, we've been here 6.5 hours without a break. So we're going to take a motion in a second. Thanks for staying awake, everybody, and staying energetic and engaged. I need a motion in a second. Now we're going to take a vote. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to take a vote here. I move to approve. We're going to vote on the personnel transactions. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. All righty. Very nice work from our personnel department. Now we're going to move into item number 12. This is items of information, written reports. We had 3 outstanding written reports this month. Great work. Reports take great detail and great time. So I'm going to turn this over to facilities and maintenance. Is there any comments here? Okay. All right. So let's make some comments here. Let's tell these people how awesome they are. So comments, Board Member Fritchie.
You know me. I love to read reports and make
know you
comments.
do.
Yeah. 12.02 Health Services Report. I just want to read this to you because in going through that report, I was amazed, and I thought you guys out there, even though it's late, might be a little bit amazed at the numbers that's going through the health room. It's amazing that there's more than 61,000 visits to our health rooms in our district during the first 6 months of the school year, and that less than 1/10 of those students were sent home. It's an understatement to say that our health rooms are busy places. Out of 23,000 plus health concerns, mental health made up around 4,800 of those, followed by asthma at about 2,000 and allergies around 1,000. Finally, the crisis response teams have conducted 248 plus suicide severity rating scales, and those take time. What does this information tell us? The mental health of our students is a very important concern. Thank you to our Health Services Department for doing their best in assisting our students. And I see Terry Hansen, who wrote that report back there. Could you please stand up, Terry? Thank you
Very nice.
very much. And just one more thing about purchasing and distribution, 12.03. Great report. Krista Battaglia. It clearly shows the volume of what comes in and out of the warehouse, as well as the amount of time spent on the proper compliance with board policies on bids, proposals, contracts, and agreements. And I just wondered, are these reports put on the website so the public can see all that our employees are doing to make this district great? I just wondered, do we put those reports on our website? I know they're in board docs, but I was just wondering if it's something that we put on there just to show our, it's just
Right.
a question.
That's a good question. Excellent. Any other comments? Mr. Murdoch?
Yeah, just one real quick one on the health services. I just wanted to say one comment on the 504 plan, that numbers that we got, that there are so many kids, obviously, who are on 504s. And I just wanted to commend staff because those are not easy plans to make the accommodations necessary for all the kids in terms of what they're going to need through a 504 plan, especially if they've transitioned from IEPs to 504s and all that entails. It's not an easy thing to follow. And while we obviously can always get better at doing some of those particular things, I just wanted to say good job to the staff on that. I have experience with that, obviously, and staff is doing a fantastic job in following those, and so I appreciate that.
Okay, very nice. Board Member Clark?
I just want to say what great work the Purchasing and Distribution Service is doing. What really caught my eye in that report was how the increase in bids and RFPs issued has been so significant. I mean, it's definitely doubled over the last 3 years. And what that means for you as taxpayers, as employees of the district, if we are spending money efficiently through bidding and RFP processes, that means we have more money to spend somewhere else.
Very nice. Any other comments about any of our written reports? I know that these departments spend a great deal of time putting this together for us. Thank you for that. All right, we're going to move into our final item of the evening, and this is our roundtable discussion. And this is just an opportunity to hear from the board members on a personal note or anything they want to share that's going on. So I'm going to look at Board Member Doan.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out to the future Board of Education candidates. The forum last night, I thought everyone did a fantastic job. I know it's very hard to put your name out there and a little nerve-wracking. Let me make you more nervous, but I really appreciate people stepping up for their community, and I look forward to working with the two that win, but also know that the other ones are very good representation of our community, and maybe try to get involved with another community group and keep working on being elected. But I really think that everyone did a great job last night. I was very impressed.
Excellent. Thank you, Julie. Board Member Smith?
I don't really have anything other than I think the nights, what we have visited about and listened to tonight, in many ways is a healthy listening. And this community is a great place to live. We have the best staff, we have the best patrons, and we have the best 18,000 whatever number showed up today of students in school. And we should celebrate that.
Yes. Well said, Board Member Smith. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go over here to your right, Board Member Murdoch.
So Mike stole it because he came up here earlier. I was going to congratulate the robotics team. So nicely done on that, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. Good luck to Lee Summit North tomorrow in their basketball game. I see that the new principal of Lee Summit is wearing their colors, so very nicely done in their support. Sorry, did I call you out right on the first one? Sorry about that. She did, so blame her. Yeah, there you go. And if anybody's looking to go skiing, you can go out to Colorado where they're getting 70-mile-an-hour winds and a foot of snow here over the last day. So, enjoy that. That's it. Thanks.
Board Member Fritchie.
Yes, and Ryan didn't even say that he had a knee operation on Tuesday, and he's here tonight. So, good job, Ryan. I attended Highland Park's Leadership Day on February 28th, and so I wanted to say thank you to Highland Park for inviting board members to attend that, and it was great seeing the student leaders in action, conducting the tours, and they were conducting the assembly, and the choir was fantastic, and so it was great to see all those leadership opportunities. And next week is spring break week, right? Right? Yeah, okay. Monday on your spring break, I am always on spring break, I guess. But Monday, I am actually going with the Prodeo group up to the main event. I volunteer once in a while to be a chaperone for some of their activities. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with the Prodeo kids up at main event.
Thank you. Board Member White?
I really don't have anything to add tonight.
Okay. Thank you very much. Vice President Clark?
Thank you very much. I was very pleased, let's see, I guess it was Monday night, it seems like it was 2 weeks ago, hitting two capitals repeatedly this week, to attend the Lee Summit North National Honor Society induction. There were 96 students inducted Monday night, and it was just great to see so many of our kids there in that group, and knowing that they're going to be forever NHS members. Mm-hmm. So I love that, and I forgot my pen, and it was pointed out to me that I'd forgotten my pen. As Kim mentioned, Highland Park did have its Leadership Day on the 28th of March, and I was very pleased to be there. And you know, I always joke about being a little person, and I'm really about the size of a fourth grader. And so I loved being in the classrooms and getting on their little seats. You know, they have what to me look like milk cartons with cushions on them, and just kind of getting down there and communicating with the kids. And I was doing my informal computer survey, asking them about what they thought of their Chromebooks and their equipment, and they have opinions, and they will share them with you. Mm-hmm. So it was really great to see so many kids. They're so excited about what they're doing in their classrooms, and I know that their teachers were just inspiring them, and they were so pleased to host so many of us that day. So I'm just looking forward to a big victory tomorrow night, and then on to Saturday for Lee Summit North, mm-hmm. and then opening day at the K on the 28th.
All right. Thank you, Vice President Clark. Dr. Carpenter, comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Round table?
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. The last couple of weeks, I've decided to get around the district and see a few things that were going on. And over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. This week, I spent 3 days with our staff, various positions, primarily teachers. Week before, I had a chance to go out to Lee Summit West and see our young people engage in a Titan Time activity led by this crew right here that's hanging out with us all night. And in leading that activity, I came away saying that our young people, in many ways, are more courageous than us as adults. They had a very difficult conversation, and I saw them have it in a way that didn't demean anyone with a different opinion. I saw them have it in a way that they were not rude and disrespectful to anyone else, and there were some strong points made and some very different opinions. And I said, this could have been a PD day for all of us. Could have been a PD day for our board members. Could have been it was a PD day for me. Could have been a PD day for our staff. And it definitely could have been a PD day for those who are out there in the social media world. And I said to myself as I drove back from West, things are in good hands with these young folks. A diverse group, majority students, minority students, and they grapple with some very difficult issues. The other thing that I grappled with this week that I'm still grappling with heading into the spring break, and we're here late already, so it's my turn. We heard last night, those of us who were at a candidate forum, we heard a question raised. And the question said that as people of color or African American or whatever it was, we feel as if we're seen and not heard in our community or school district or whatever the piece was, and there was lots of conversation around that. And I found it very, very amazing that just a day or so earlier, I sent a text to my board president. And when I sent that text to my board president, I said, it's amazing how when it's politically expedient, I can be viewed as invisible and also visible based on whatever is politically expedient. What does all of this mean? It means that if you've never been placed in that situation, you don't know the realness of that feeling. It means if you've never been in the minority group, you don't know the feeling. You can empathize, but you got to be in that group to have that experience, and that's okay. But what's not okay is to not honor all of those perspectives because they all matter. So I'm getting calls the other evening, and we heard the commentary about the program at one of our elementary schools and that whole piece, and I can't shed off myself and not speak to this evening because that wouldn't be me and it wouldn't be real. So I was getting calls the other evening about the program, and it's on social media, and all of this is happening. And my bride is overhearing this. So he said, what's going on? And I said, here's what it appears has happened. And we talked about what happened. And she went to her computer, and she pulled it up. And I saw tears come from her eyes, and she cried as we have a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, and she said, how could anyone believe this is okay? That doesn't mean that she or I were angry at anyone. That doesn't mean that we can't ever see eye to eye with a person who may have been in that position again. But here's what it does mean. It does mean that if we don't have enough eyes and diversity of intellect on a situation like that, it's bound to repeat itself. That's what it means. So all of this matters. And when we start honoring one voice over the other, and I said this to the teachers, I don't know which night or which morning, they all start to run together. But whenever I start honoring one of those voices over the other, that's really when I've lost my way as superintendent. So let's talk about another conversation this week. I've had a lot of them. So for those who don't know, I totaled my car, I had to get another car, and I'm trying to make sure I get a license plate before the deadline. You know, they put that temporary number on the back, and I think it's next week, and I still don't have it because come to find out I need to drive to Independence. But here's the point. I'm in the driver's license bureau, and this lady is just staring at me. And I said, why does she keep staring at me? I kind of look, and I wave, and she waves, and I feel it. You know, you can feel that person. And she's still staring at me. She leaves. I said, she must know me, probably knows I'm the superintendent. I finish up at the desk. I come outside, and she's waiting in her car with her daughter. She says, are you Dr. Carpenter? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. 35 minutes later, I'm still standing at her window. She wasn't in the social elite of the community. She wasn't in the group that's in the know. But guess what? She gets to have a voice too. So if you've never been in that position where you've had to work twice as hard to get half as much, you won't understand that perspective. Mine is leaning into it. So how do we lean into it? I'm in a situation right now where I know I've worked twice as hard to get half as much. Teacher said the other day, even when they didn't agree, and those who did, they said, Dr. Carpenter, we've never had a superintendent that would give us an open mic and let us go back and forth with them. Twice as hard to get half as much. And if it's real for me as the school district superintendent, by golly, it has to be a real feeling for some others. I'm finished, Madam President.
All right, thank you very much for that, those remarks. We appreciate it. I did receive a text, but I also had a meeting that we weren't able to do on Tuesday because of other things that came up that were canceled in your office. So we'll be careful here. We've had a good meeting tonight. We've listened to each other. I feel privileged to be serving with all of you. It's an honor, and with that said, this meeting is adjourned.